Good evening, my fellow Americans. This is your president speaking, and today is Tuesday, which means it's the start of our streaming week, but it is also the recap from what has happened in the past, well, I would say a full week, but we usually cover the recap on Thursday, so it's been, 5 days? And folks, let me tell you, we have a full stream. It is insane that even with the passage of the big, beautiful bill, even with that being a detrimental impact to American democracy, to giving ICE more of a budget than the entire United States Air Force put together, to funding the alligator Auschwitz and making merchandise for it, the ongoing military occupation of Los Angeles actually got worse, if you can believe it. There is literally so much crap that has happened in just 5 days, not least of which is that the Epstein files have been dubbed to not exist, which actually, I guess I should have updated my stream to do that. I'll do that right now. But So anyway, we just have entirely too much to deal with on a regular basis. Honestly, I had originally thought I could do, oh wow, there's So I thought you were gone. I remember following your streams religiously during my federal internship in 2022. Yeah, I did take a hiatus, partially because I moved states, but also because I wasn't living on my own at the time. And I am home. Or are you referring to yourself in the third person? So anyway, yeah, this past few days has been insane. Absolutely insane. Oh, okay. I'm home. Yep. Hey, you know what? If I have to be America's papa, that's fine. Like, if that's what it takes, I will absolutely. Here's the thing. I know that I am a disciplinarian and I can be harsh and aggressive. So you know what? If I need to wave the little finger and use my stepdad voice to get things done, then so be it. Personally, I would like to just banter with you guys. Honestly, I mean, granted, okay, if I was going to actually do streaming, it would probably be video game streaming. I don't want to have to talk about the downfall and collapse of American imperialism and democracy in the same breath, whilst an ongoing genocide is going on that we, the American people, are financing. Like, honestly, I would love to just banter. Honestly, I would love to just talk about policy. Hey, I would love to have high-speed rail because I'm autistic and every autistic person wants trains. I'd love to talk about that. I'd love to talk about how thorium is a life-changing energy supply, an energy material that is like literally right now breaking ground in China and elsewhere. It could power our very lives forever. We could talk about, I don't know, the need for infrastructure reform, clean energy, high-speed internet, housing, healthcare, education. We could be talking about literally anything else, but we have to talk about the fascist who has the worst tan spray thing. Because, like, right, my skin kind of flows, right? Like, if I took off my shirt, tan, not tan, farmer's tan, right? But this man is a billionaire, and it's orange. And then, like, the mask, green, like, instead of it being green and then it's skin, it's orange and then skin. It's like, bro. So anyway, bro, don't forget the Mamdani mandate. I've never been this hype. No, I mean, true. I don't know if we're talking about that in this week, but it was just revealed that Mamdani got the most votes out of any candidate in New York City primary history. So, I mean, that is a mandate. You're 100%, that is a mandate. And the fun fact is, in 2017, when I ran for DNC chair, I said, if you want to win elections and you don't want to be relegated to ignominy, then you need to focus on the people. Go in rural America. Talk about socialism. Talk about universal health care. Talk about people and the needs that they have instead of trying to shove your agenda down their throat. They are rejecting it wholesale. They didn't want to listen to me, and they lost. They continue to lose. And now their relevancy is, well, not. You know? All of which is to say, Janice, welcome back. I do remember you being a part of our stream community for a very long time there. I might be repeating myself because brain is fried, but do follow up with me. If you have my Facebook or whatever, feel free to do so. So I guess that's enough of an introduction or a prelude to the fuckery that's been going on. So let's, not true. So is my YouTube channel linked on my About Me page? It is. So one of them says YouTube. Where does that even go? Okay, that's my stream links, which I haven't been updating. Shame on me. And then the other one is does not go to where it needs to go. Awesome. Okay. Well, then I will have to update that. So, fun fact, I have started making YouTube videos again to discuss, the fuckery that's going on from the context that, this is real. We are the 48th administration. So, go to youtube.com/ that would actually help if I knew where to send you to. If I could find the tab. Okay, it's at Ronan for Progress. YouTube.com @ Ronan for Progress. I didn't know you could do @ symbols in an HTML, but neither here nor there. Yes, that we did meet him in person. He was pretty Zoran was pretty lackluster in terms of his commitment to speaking out. He spoke out and he did well, but he didn't want to be associated with it, which was weird to me. But maybe that's changing. So, wow, 22 minutes. I don't think we can get into it right like that. Let's see. Well, let's definitely watch some of this, but we're probably not going to watch all of it.
And Doug.
And it wouldn't be a stream if we didn't have,
here's what you want to do.
Sam Cedar on the Majority Report. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the program, Alex Salmon.
Oh, shit. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, our CC's working because I added closed captioning. Hold on. Okay, cool. It's still muted. So I added closed captioning to the stream. In those icons in your right hand of the screen, at least on desktop, I don't know where it would be on your phone, but where it normally shows the dragon pets and then whatever? Click on Ultimate Closed Captions. It's visible. It's added to, it is to my channel. That's why it's there. Well, okay, tell me that it's working or not. Because... all right, so it is working. Awesome. Because I'm not seeing it on... oh, wait, no, it is. Holy shit, there it is. It's not very... you have to... okay, so... it's... hold on. It's right here. It's literally right there. My microphone's in the way. Bam. So if you need the closed captioning, it's right here. I don't know that I can configure the way that it looks. Actually, I would much rather do that in a browser source. Oh, you get to do the customization. Okay. Well, then you can make it be more visible for you. Oh, that's kind of neat. I didn't know that. Anywho, so yeah, listen, we're getting slowly to a point where we are going to start requesting interviews and such again. It's just right now we're back to being insignificant. we have this like significant, insignificant, significant, insignificant, and right now we're on the insignificant stage again. We are definitely working on getting that fixed, but you know, with social media, everybody wants to be an influencer and they only want to put other influencers on these things. So we are working towards that. Yeah. All right.
Feature writer at slate.com. Alex, you wrote this really amazing piece, disturbing in many respects, about Jenna, Louisiana, has a population of 4,000 people, has a crazy history of, I don't know that crazy, but a history of being closely associated with the carceral state for quite some time. Give us a little background about this before we get up to present day.
Yeah, so this is like central Louisiana, so it's, you know, a part of the state, a part of the country. There's not a lot of economic activity. It's not a, you know, certainly not a metropolis. And so like a lot of these places, you know, it was an oil and timber town, basically, Gina. It's like you either work in the oil fields or the logging woods. And both those things went bust in the 80s. And so what happened there, as in many places in Louisiana, is they set out to diversify the economy and they built a prison, which was, you know, steady industry. It's like it's the way a lot of.
So this city said to boost and stimulate their economy, they were going to build a prison because it would stimulate and boost the economy. Now, let's hear that again, because that was dystopian as fuck.
There, as in many places in Louisiana, is they set out to diversify the economy and they built a prison.
To diversify their economy, they built a prison,
which was, you know, steady industry. It's like it's the way a lot of these towns bring federal money or state money to places that are pretty much, you know, blighted and forgotten about. So do you understand? Like, do you understand what this man just said? This man just said that in the United States of America, if you're a rural town in some fuck place wherever in America, the best way to get state and federal funding is to build a fucking prison to stimulate your fucking economy and build jobs. A prison. Which means the only reason why you need a prison is because there's criminals. If you're in bumfuck nowhere, what criminals are there, right? For one. For two, now that you have the prison, you have to hire the staff to expand your law enforcement on top of that so that you can bring criminals into the prison that you just built and paid a bunch of money to put staff in, so that you can justify both of those things existing simultaneously. Which means now you went from maybe having a run-in with the sheriff who was like, all right, Johnny, I told you to stop speeding down these ways, and God damn it, Susan, if you don't start paying your taxes on your tomato plants, we're gonna have a conversation. To people are just getting thrown in jail overnight to justify that it exists. Do we not see the prison pipeline here? How we are a police state, how we are profiting and focusing predominantly on law enforcement and incarceration. We are an incarceration state. That's our number one industry. That's what we are number one for in the world. Most incarcerated people. That's out of North Korea. That's out of China. That's out of Russia. We, America, land of the free. I think last time I suggested you talk to Vosh, I take that back. Man is an optics nuke, unfortunately, despite being based most of the time at least. Now, that's the thing about streamers and influencers, right? That then decide to get political. And I get it that he was a political streamer to begin with, I guess. He did his little hot takes. But here's the problem when you focus your persona and your income, your livelihood on hot takes,
eventually you get pushed this way or you get pushed that way, and you can't have nuanced discourse anymore. It's why Hassan goes batshit insane. It's why the majority report brings and talks about certain things and not other things, like the need for trains. Instead, we have to talk about ICE because that's what gets clicks and that's what gets views. It's also why there's also always the sensationalism shit. But yeah, it's just, and then you have the worst ones who were gamer streamers first, had a notorious reputation for being scumbags, being sexist and misogynistic and all this other fun shit. And then they decide to be political on top of that and using a condescending tone like, of course that's what's going to happen to you. You shouldn't have broken the law. You won't get trampled by horses. You deserve that shit. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I don't break the law and I don't get stomped by horses. So clearly that's okay. Asmongold should never fucking talk about politics, but he's a white man with millions of dollars and millions of subscribers. Ergo ipsoc ergo sum, he thinks he is now a political influencer. And yes, that is fucking disgusting. How are the Democrats that are in the government so lame? Did they find a glitch where you can just put bad politicians in your opposition party and win? I mean, yes. Yes, they did. It was called neoliberalism. That was the glitch. And so long as they were just oppositional enough on paper to continue to push the Republican agenda, they got elected. As long as they sounded reasonable and talking about optics and ethics and morals, it sounded good on paper. They just never did, the following through on any of it. And they allowed the Republicans to steamroll them every single step of the way since Reagan. I don't think we've had a Democratic Party since JFK was assassinated. And that's saying something. Like, I think that was the last Democrat in America. LBJ got us into fucking Vietnam. Carter was, although a good person, a good human being, not a remarkable president in any form or fashion. I mean, he wasn't. I'm not saying he was a bad president, but he wasn't a good president. He was just a president. He had his hand on the steering wheel and didn't veer right, didn't veer left, just kind of kept shit going. Right, he was not a good politician. Great human being, though. I mean, absolutely. If he had been a fucking... He could have been the damn Pope, and he would have been probably one of the best popes we've ever had. I mean, honestly, but just politician, not so much. He just didn't do anything. And there's a time and a place to just keep things as they are. But in America, that has never been the case. There has never been a place or time in American history where just staying the course was good because things were good for so many people in the country at large and globally that you just needed a president to warm the chair. Like that has never once happened in the United States of America's history. So anyway, I got a little derailed there with my expose here, but that's just stark. Now we're going to skip a little bit here because again, this is a 22-minute video and I don't want to get hung up on this one video.
Built this.
But let's talk about
to gear up.
Or hold on. Is this just the one-on-one interview? Oh shit! So I have no idea when he talks about the detention center. Shit.
Yeah. So it was like, really interesting. The political economy of this stuff I think is fascinating. But right, it's sort of deeply neoliberal era where it's like you want to build out state capacity to imprison people, but you don't really have the ability to do it on a public sector level, or you think it's cheaper to do it with the private sector. So Wackenhut is sort of the great exemplar of this as at that point the largest private.
Since I have no idea when he actually goes into the conditions of it, I'm not saying it isn't, Anna, but we got 3 hours and a lot of content. Look at all this. You made it. You made this list. We're not going to get through all of it if we're listening to this. This is more of something to listen. I highly recommend you listen, like you, the viewer, listen to this outside of the stream because you're going to want to hear the whole expose without my interruptions. I I think that's what this is. This is the news. This is what the news should be, arguably. But instead, we get talking heads and pundits and shit like that. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
I gave it a shot, and I came in and had the procedure done. To me, it was amazing.
I was like, what? That has nothing to do with anything.
This guy, Mario Guevara, is a Spanish language journalist who is based in Atlanta. And he covers immigration raids fairly regularly, and getting arrested at this protest. Hey, sir. Can you step on the sidewalk? Sir, on the sidewalk.
So that's the body cam of the officer, it looks like.
So this is, you're seeing body camera footage here.
Officer, I'm a member of the media, officer.
I'm a member of the media.
I mean, he's wearing a
He
press
has
vest.
jacket on.
Let me finish.
So, right away. I can't believe I have to say this, and I shouldn't have to say this, not as an American, obviously, with someone with supposedly having rights and freedoms. Nobody should have to say this, but if you see a police presence at a protest, clearly from this point forward, arguably from 5 months ago forward, but hey, if you're at a protest and there is a police presence, and not all protests have police presence. I mean, you can go to downtown Lancaster, Ohio, and there's no police presence because it's just a rural BFE town in Ohio. But if you're in Los Angeles, New York City, major cities like that, Columbus probably, and you're at a protest and you see a noticeable police presence, do not ever stand by yourself or even with 2 or 3 or 4 people, because what happens is what we just saw. They will converge upon you. They'll do pincer strikes. They'll do all this bullshit military crap, arrest you, intimidate you, threaten you, and perhaps even charge you and claim that you assaulted them, even with the body cam proving that, dude was clearly the press and clearly not resisting, right? So if you're going to go to a protest in the United States of America at a major city where there's a police protest or police presence, then do not ever allow yourself to get isolated and never venture away from the crowd. If there is a large crowd and they take a step back and you're left there by yourself, first of all, shame on the crowd. Always keep your people together. Lock arms, keep each other hands on the shoulders, something. Just keep as a group, because they will just start pulling you and funneling you away. It's literally called kettling. It's literally called, what else? There's another specific name for it. Well, catch and release, I think, or fishing. I think it's fishing is how they refer to it. Fishing, right? So they grab you and reel you in to their group, right? The heavily armed police Nazi presence, right? And they yank you away from the group, and now the group either has to bombard the armed and violent Nazis, or they just, close ranks around the one less. And they do that enough times, and your group goes from maybe a couple dozen, couple score, to only a dozen, and now they have more people than you, and they're surrounding you. So, unfortunately, not enough of us are protesting. Let's just be very clear on that. Not enough of us are protesting, because apparently not enough of us think it's bad enough. But that notwithstanding, we're not doing it smartly either. If you're scattered, right, which makes sense if they're firing tear gas. No, I don't expect you to clump up and just take it. But that's how they get you. Once you run away, the slowest person gets caught. And then caught and caught and caught. And then when you recollect, there's less of you. Maybe a dozen, maybe 30, 40, maybe even 100 of you less from the 1,000 that it was before. Now it's only 900. They do this catch and release long enough, and now you're whittled down to 100, and they still have their 300 personnel. So my point in all of this is to simply say, never, whether you're press, whether you're legal oversight, whether you're just a participant, whether you serve some role like medic, as the case may be, never, ever be alone or in a group less than at least, 15. Literally, you're going to need to be body strong. You're going to need to be deep, right? Because this shit will happen to you.
I do not think any policeman will get in trouble if it is in line with what Trump wants. No, I mean, that is exactly why this shit is happening. And well, honestly, it's the reason why it's been happening. It's not just because of Trump, but as long as the leadership says it's okay, then it's okay.
For people listening, they're cuffing him. Can you take my phone, please? It's for my work. Don't leave it there, please. Thank you, officer. He's thanking him.
Yeah, you gotta thank your fucking assaulter.
Are we just the West Bank now?
Basically.
And look, they're wearing gas masks already, and there hasn't been any dispersal in this video.
Not to get in the road. But I didn't. That's why you're reporting, officer. You're reporting.
For not getting on the
We
road?
were warned multiple times not to get in the road. Can we go back? I want to. There's some
No, it was
ads
get on the
there,
sidewalk.
But if we can, I just want to see the beginning of this footage again. Sorry. This is unbelievable. That was June 14th. The police were forced to basically release it because it was so insane. He was then taken into ICE custody after this. And I've covered protests before. You have to stand in the middle of the street to get the footage that you need on occasion. Just the beginning to show what he was, the beginning of it, if we don't mind. Yeah, so he's
Honestly, I have felt like cops are video game enemies for a very, very long time. The problem is, most of America has not seen the same police that we are seeing, that we activists have been seeing, right? There's a reason why I don't go to the protests anymore. It's not because I don't believe in the protests. It's because if there's a police presence there, I'm going to want to fight them. And then it's a problem, right? And I don't say that lightly. I mean, I am joking about it and laughing and all this, that, and the other. But the reality is, if I had seen that, I would have interfered and I would have been non-compliant with whatever those fuckers said. And then I would be arrested. And then what? I'm poor. I work just like the rest of us. So now I'm in prison, right? For assaulting an officer, resisting arrest. It's already happened to me. It's already happened to me from getting pulled over and having a cop pull his gun on me and demanding why I did whatever I did. And I'm like, dude, I didn't see your shit. All right. I'm having a frustrating day. I'm trying to get home. Why are you pointing a gun at me? I'm a veteran. Who the fuck do you think you are? Why are you arresting me? Am I being detained? All this, that, and the other. Like, cops don't fucking care. They don't. They have a badge, a gun, and an attitude, and that's all that matters to them. And typically, a mayor, a county, whatever, or a governor that'll aid and abet their cruelty and abuse of power. It's really a shame, but can't blame you for that crossing your mind. No, I mean, it's insane, right? It's just absolutely insane that this is what's happening in the United States of America in the year of our Lord 2025. Meanwhile, there's some straight up Nazi shit happening on top of that. Literally door to door in the immigrant communities, people being kidnapped, people being targeted and ambushed at school, at work, at the hospital, at the fucking courthouse where they're supposed to be. Excuse me. Guess I'm getting a little riled up. Body can't handle it. See what happens when you get into your 30s? You can't even get riled up without getting acid reflux, apparently. But yeah, no, it boggles the mind that Los Angeles is an occupied city by the military of the United States, and that we have. I mean, granted, our brown shirts are wearing green, so we have green shirts terrorizing brown people, regardless of their profession, their background, or their legal status, because they don't give a shit about due process. Insane. I do use it. Honestly, I thought that would have ended the conversation or gotten some sort of I mean, this was back in what, 2018? Like this, but no, police hate the military. Anymore, it's getting to the point where the police hate the military because they feel like the police have more jurisdiction and authority when it's on the home front, right? And so it's like, oh, yeah, well, you fought overseas. Well, I fight on in these streets. Who the fuck do you think you are? It's literally that shit, except now they actually get to live their fantasy of targeting civilians, which has been what all of our militarized police forces has been building up to. And make no mistake, this didn't start with Trump. It didn't start with Biden. It didn't start with Obama. It didn't start with Bush. It didn't even start with Clinton or Daddy Bush, right? This has been ongoing since the Nixon administration, right? Like, militarizing the police has been in effect ever since the war was no longer profitable, right? Which would be Vietnam. So ever since Vietnam, that era is when we've been militarizing the police, giving them more leeway to attack protesters, to violate the First Amendment, which is exactly why the police act so brazenly against protesters. Because ever since Vietnam, this shit's been going on. And it has been against the law and violating the First Amendment the entire time. Like, anti-war protesters are not allowed to be arrested because it hurts your fucking feelings, or because they're in the road or on the sidewalk or in the grass. Again, the Constitution says peaceful protests shall not be infringed. Doesn't say peaceful protest asterisks, and then at the bottom of the Constitution it says, so long as the protests don't interfere with life, commerce, or government activity. Like, that's not how that fucking works. So, well, it's an unlawful assembly. You can't just declare a protest an unlawful assembly because your feelings are hurt. That's not how that works. And again, as long as it's peaceful, any assembly is lawful. I don't give a shit what it is. Oh, it's the Hispanic quinceañera in the Hispanic neighborhood, and it turns into a block party. It's peaceful, isn't it? Sucks their traffic can't get through there. Sucks. Doesn't make it an unlawful assembly. Now, sure, the noise violations. Even me, being a grouchy old motherfucker, can't really argue if I'm the only white person in a Hispanic community celebrating somebody's quinceañera. I'm either going to have to get over it or go and join them and be invited, because guaranteed, if I say, hey, I can't sleep, can you just hand me a cerveza? They'll be like, hey, gringo, come here. And then I'd poorly dance the salsa with somebody's grandmother, because that's what community is about, right? So all I'm trying to say is we have had our protest rights violated since a very, very, very long time. And now it's become so normalized and become so accepted in our society that even police arresting press, which was unheard of even 5 years ago, is now the norm. Unfucking believable. Looks like I missed a bit of a conversation here. Even one of my own staffers, Anna, got pulled over by ICE, and simply because she's Latina. I perfected my traffic stop technique, act like a clueless ditz and hyperventilate, but it definitely helps that you're white. No, I mean, that probably wouldn't work for a black person at all, let's just be honest. So I get pulled over often due to racial profiling. That clip of Trump implying he could deport natural-born U.S. citizens was crazy. What's even crazier is the fact that people are supporting it. And what's worse is that he's getting closer and closer to making it a reality. Although he has already deported natural-born U.S. citizens who were brown. There are American natural-born citizens sitting in El Salvador right now because they were brown. SCOTUS ruled Nazis are allowed to assemble. Right. And notice, I don't know if there's a video of it, but I saw several videos of Nazis marching across the country, and there was zero police presence. Zero. And they were saying, we're back, we're everywhere, be afraid, we're here, all this shit. Like, they were going full, like, Hail Hitler, goose-stepping, bullshit, fear-mongering white supremacy, not a single police presence whatsoever. Acting really offended is a really annoying way of defending horrific policies. Right. Enough said. Hate to do it, but my roomies are home and I promised them dinner. Thank you for your advocacy. Crossing my fingers. You still have VODs enabled so I can catch up later. Yes, we do. So yes. But yeah, just astronomical corruption and abuse of power.
Look out for the guy in the red shirt here. On the sidewalk, he's saying, but he's on the grass. He's just trying to film the operation.
And they don't even really give him a chance.
He's filming them walking backwards, basically.
And then they
just go at him.
They charged him the second he stepped off of the sidewalk.
Okay.
So, like, again, this is that abuse of power shit.
All right,
I told you to stay off the road. No, you told him to stay on the sidewalk. And even though he kept walking backwards, like, again, what? Like, this is a nothing burger. Just, again, I'm a cop. I'm ordering you to do something. I'm going to change my mind 15 different ways from Sunday. I'm wearing a body cam, but that really doesn't matter to me because I know I'm a cop. Like, no. And exactly, no freedom of the press. Again, freedom of the press isn't just the control of the press, which is what our MSM is nowadays, or hell, even online media from the major networks. They've been unabashedly reporting what the Trump administration has been putting out. Like, no, motherfucker, you need to challenge that shit. That's what a free press is. Not just saying, well, apparently the Epstein list doesn't exist anymore because Trump said so. Like, that's how everybody's been fucking reporting this shit. That's insane to me. But also terrorizing the press. You're right. That's another way to ensure that there is no free press. So anyway, that's happening. Lovely.
If I
guess this is a PSA.
I don't have to show you anything.
Oh, this is. I love this guy.
Not required to carry proof of citizenship, but non-citizens are. Yep. If you're a non-citizen, it's a misdemeanor to not have documentation with you at all times.
Oh, so it's a misdemeanor to not wear your Star of David sleeve. Interesting. Didn't know that in America, that we had the Star of David legislation. Did not know that in all actuality.
So being undocumented or overstaying your visa is a crime? No, those actually still aren't crimes. It's the getting caught without documentation that is. Exactly. Yeah, in 1940 there was a lot of
Oh, okay,
War II
because
paranoia.
yeah.
So
All right, so this has been in
we
place
passed a
since
law hoping
World
it
War
would
II.
allow us to create a registry of all the non-citizens in the United States. How does ICE even know that I'm a citizen if I don't need documentation? Well, you look like a Bible salesman. What's your name, Clark? Well, it's Chris, but I mean, for real though, like, what is stopping someone from just saying, no, I'm a U.S. citizen, I don't have to have documentation? They don't look like a Clark, so we'd probably detain them. But you wouldn't detain me, just based off of looks? Exactly. I can't detain U.S. citizens even if I suspect that you're a non-citizen, because ICE doesn't have authority over citizens. Then how do you...
So, again, ICE has detained American citizens and refused to look at their fucking credentials, their ID, or any proof of their citizenship that they did happen to have on them, which most Americans typically will have at least their ID in their pocket. So, again, there are two laws in this country, one that applies to me, or people who are white, and one who applies to literally anybody else. And this is the shit that's fucking happening in America. Like, that makes me enraged. Like, if ICE approached me, I could tell them to fuck off, and there isn't a fucking thing that they'd probably do about it because white. But if I used an accent, verzeihen Sie, you can go somewhere else, ja? Ich brauch deine Scheiß nicht. Go away. All of a sudden, German accent, boom, fair game. Now, granted, I don't know Spanish, but if I said, oye, gringa, gringo, caliente, cállate, all of a sudden, gone. Doesn't even matter. It's like, hey, motherfucker, I was just fucking with you. I'm an American, right? I have my ID and all this shit. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If ICE doesn't have jurisdiction over citizens, right? But they don't care, and nobody's enforcing it or holding them accountable, then they have authority over citizens. Like, do you not understand that this is how that slippery slope happens? ICE doesn't have jurisdiction over citizens in the United States. I am a citizen. Leave me the fuck alone. We're done here. Hence why due process, hence why needing a warrant, right? But apparently that doesn't matter to people either. The point is, if you don't need a warrant, you don't need due process, you then don't have to respect or even know if someone's a citizen. You now have the free reign, because you're not being stopped, to do whatever the fuck you please, which has included SA and grape against detained individuals or people masquerading as ICE to do the same. And what this guy does extremely well in his satirical channel
is kind of convey like, oh, we're the baddies in an extremely bad way, aren't we? And it's like, yeah, yes, we are.
You know if someone's actually a non-citizen. We detain them. So you must accidentally detain citizens. Oh, all the time. So what happens then? Well, once you prove you're a citizen, you're free to go. But I'm not required to prove that I'm a citizen. You're not required to carry documentation. And you don't have authority over me. Correct. ICE only has authority over non-citizens. So shouldn't I just be able to tell you to fuck off? Yeah, sure. If you want to get arrested? By who? By ICE. You don't have authority over me. I do have the authority to make arrests for federal crimes, like obstruction of justice or resisting
Oh, there's
arrest.
the obstruction
Even if
of
that arrest is
justice
later
and
ruled to be
resisting arrest
unlawful.
shit again.
Does that mean that I could sue you? Sure. Could we flood your systems if we had thousands of citizens being unlawfully detained? You could try, but judges usually side with us. It's a pretty high bar to win an unlawful detainment by ICE case, and the few people that have won didn't really win much more than enough to cover their legal expenses. Jesus. So when you say that citizens don't need documentation and ICE doesn't have authority over citizens, that's effectively meaningless? Yeah, for people that don't look like a Clark. Because you wouldn't mess with me. Not if you don't interfere. So this is one of those laws that sounds like it's common sense, but the impact is just racist? Well, it did come from 1940s pre-war paranoia, so what do you expect? Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering what it was blurred. I thought he had a pistol, and it was.
Do you not watch the news? No, that was the joke.
So, yeah, basically what I said is what they just covered at the end there. But that's insane. Like, that's literally fucking insane. That's just insane. Like, how is the crime obstruction of justice and resisting arrest when the arrest itself was unlawful? Like, you can only break a crime and resist arrest if the arrest itself was... I'm not a lawyer, right? But, like, that's how the law is written, is it not? Or am I just stupid? Because, all right, apparently it needs to be said. If an officer, and it is said, by the way, I wrote the policy to reform law enforcement, to gut everything in the way that it currently is, federalize it, hold them to an extremely, extremely high standard, and make sure they have zero interaction with civilians unless, you know, an actual investigation is ongoing. Anyway, if an officer issues an unlawful order, the officer is the one that is then charged with a crime. How is that not already A, the case, and B, the standard? Oh, that's right, because we've been the bad guys. Now, well, you can just, we were never the good guys, even when we were incepted, but, you know, we at least had some form of whatever. Listen, I'm not saying we've been goose-stepping fascists since our inception. I am saying that abuse of power being protected by whatever state, you know, the federal or the state itself or the city, has always been the case. We've always been an authoritarian nation. Like, let's be very honest about that. But to expand the powers of law enforcement to the point where you get in trouble even if they're in the wrong is insane. And it's happened. It's like, again, how do you need an elephant? Small bites at a time, right? So we've been fed this elephant for the past, I don't know, we'll just say, for the sake of argument, World War II era. We've been fed this elephant since 1940, so 85 years now, to the point where the elephant has been fascism, like literally Nazi fascism, but we've been given a bite at a time every single fucking day since 1940. So 85 years times 365, that's a lot of fucking bites, right? To the point where now police are literally judge dread levels of having impunity, and ICE is being given broad unilateral powers by default because nobody is interfering. Because the only people who could interfere, i.e. federal judges, are being sued by the administration from doing that, which in of itself is unconstitutional and illegal. But the Supreme Court is saying, well, shucks, I guess there's something we can do about it, even though the U.S. Marshals are a thing that exists. Again, okay, fine. Congress doesn't want to impeach the president. Fine. Cool. Whatever. That's a problem, but okay, fine. Nobody wants to invoke the 25th? Great. Fine. Whatever. U.S. Marshals have a mandate to enforce federal law,
and to prevent the abuse of power from the Constitution. They are the Imperial Guard, who is meant to both protect the Emperor and slay the Emperor if the Emperor acts out of line. And now we have somebody who literally wants to be that. And we have the U.S. Marshals, who could literally arrest him and his entire fucking administration of cronies today and charge them accordingly. But they won't, because they're complicit. Like, every part of our federal government has been infected with this fascism. And we really, really, really need to get that through our heads. The shit is getting worse. No, you shouldn't. I mean, okay, I see what you're saying. You should allow them to, because otherwise you get beaten and worse. But, like, you shouldn't have to as a citizen, because they don't have authority or jurisdiction over you. But now it's obstruction of justice. It's like, no, you are obstructing justice by harassing me, a citizen, in the first place. Insane shit. Let's watch more veterans get harassed.
Remember the story of
at a
Zamzam?
protest.
One mother.
Let's get that rage full and broiling.
43rd and 2nd Ave in New York
Oh,
City,
good. A Muslim press
Veterans for Peace
person?
protesters have
Yeah, she's
stayed
about to get
dying
fucked up.
in the middle of the road, blocking traffic. New York Police Department came in and made arrests that we witnessed.
29 activists have been arrested and now face several charges.
I would argue that too late was the passage of the big beautiful bill, because now there's legal justification and funding happening to facilitate the fascism. I guess too late would be when ICE is marching down your street and knocking on your door. I'd say that's when it's officially too late. And I think we got, because the funding has to disperse, they have to do the hiring to expand their numbers and then outfit them and arm them. I'd say we got actually around 12 months at most before we have goose-stepping Nazis in every corner of America. And before it's impossible for citizens to breach detention centers, because right now it's kind of possible because of their numbers and their manning, and some of them are in remote areas, so there isn't that much of a ICE presence there anyway. So like a dozen or a couple dozen armed civilians, which again, there was a group of 10 who just got recently arrested for trying to do that. Arguably, 24 to 30 people could probably take over an ICE detention center if they were trained and if they were well coordinated and, of course, well supplied. But that's thinking from military backgrounds and tactics. If you had 30 Marines or veterans, 30 Marine veterans who were in between their 20s and their 40s, coordinating together and armed, they could probably take an ICE facility. 20 or 30 airmen, maybe not so much. But I'd say any group of 40 Marines could probably do it. 12 months, specifically. All right. So why do I say we have about 12 months left before it is officially too late? Like a true point of no return in the United States of America. 12 months is about the time when primaries would have been underway, so we can see whether or not the elections are going to even be held, right? And if they're not going to be held, well, we'll know because the primaries will have been interfered with by around this time next year. Secondly, with the passage of the bill, the provisions that give ICE money and resources are happening now. But it takes time to distribute funds. It takes time to order uniforms and guns and build detention centers. It also takes time to hire and train ICE agents. Granted, there's probably going to be no shortage of people willing because we live in a fascist state. So there's going to be plenty of Nazis knocking on the door like, I want to be an ICE agent. There might even be some few brave leftists who do it to try and infiltrate, okay? However, that's also going to take time, anywhere between 3 to 6 months, because, well, that's how long it takes to train police officers, let's be honest. So from the passage of the bill, 3 months would be October. 6 months would be January, right? November, December, January. Right. So I can still count. So we have between October and January before the first batch of new ICE agents hit the streets. And of course, they're going to keep training them, right? But like the first batch of fresh off the presses ice is going to be 3 to 6 months from now. And it took them 8 days to build Alligator Auschwitz, right? So if they build Alligator Dachau or Arizona Dachau or, Washington Auschwitz, just keep using Dachau and Auschwitz interchangeably. And it takes 8 days on average to build them and say $1 million or $2 million to do it. Depending on how many they do simultaneously, you could probably have an Auschwitz in every single state within a month. Like, let's be very honest here. This is, if it took them 8 days and they could have done it faster, then realistically you could have hundreds of these fucking things. Hundreds of these things. Even if it's $1 million a pop, 100 times 1 million is 100 million. They got a $300 billion budget after the passage of the bill. $300 billion is more than the entire United States Air Force, which has, I think, 30 bases worldwide, 40 bases worldwide, and thousands of 4th and 5th generation aircraft, plus drones, plus the personnel, plus fully staffed hospitals. And their budget is like $205 billion. So if the Air Force, which is a branch of the military, I cannot stress that enough, has a 200 maybe 15 billion, whatever, budget, and they have actual cities bases all across the world and personnel to man them, like, it's going to take some amount of time for ICE to get to that level. But depending on how quick and dirty they want to be, 12 months is probably as much as they need. Resistance is still about 4 times slower than the rate of Nazification. Well, I'm being honest, which is also why we're streaming, which is also why I'm claiming to be the 48th president, which is why all of my YouTube videos are declaring that I am the president and that this administration is rogue and lawless, and that even though it's cheeky and even though it hasn't gone viral yet, the idea is, as long as somebody is challenging the authenticity and the veracity of this administration, the legality of this administration, it gives something for the people to really center around. Now, granted, Bernie Sanders should be doing this. AOC should be doing this. Hakeem Jeffries should be doing this. Chuck Schumer should be doing this, right? The Democrats are the ones who should be establishing their own federal government and declaring this one unlawful and initiating the legal processes that would imply. Instead, we have Elon Musk, who is the richest person on Earth, who has a net worth of 20x the total combined national spending of every single election race that happened in 2024. He can do that 20 times over with his own money, started his own fucking political party. A foreigner, a South African national, richest person on the planet, has already bought his position in the federal government once and paid for and manipulated and rigged a presidential election once already, created his own political party. Political parties have certain rights and privileges, such as putting people on the board of elections to verify the authenticity of both signatures and the ballots that are cast. He's literally priming himself for pure election tampering. So, yeah, the Nazification is happening quickly, and I'm choosing to take the route of being the opposition leader. Now, normally a leader is made, not declared, right? Since we're talking about a declared leader, right? So I get that I'm being a little arrogant when I say I am the president, but for now, for the sake of argument, I'm just the seat warmer. If one of these other people that are significantly more prominent than I am choose to step up, by all means. It's not like Jasmine Crockett hasn't been a Spitfire lately. She could and should do the same thing. Like, I'm just saying, like, somebody needs to stand in direct opposition to this administration. Nobody else is doing it. I am. So, ergo, by de facto, ipso sic hum, me. All right? And since my adoring masses, 5 of you right now, are in agreement, then bam, that's 5 more than the next person has. So until or unless something changes, like, I have to. I feel compelled. Let me rephrase. I feel compelled to stand diametrically opposed to this administration. I have never heard Trump talk about Hitler. Yeah, maybe not, but that doesn't change the fact that he's literally embodying every single one of his things. Oh my God. Well, and then don't get us started on modern day Germany and the AfD, which is modern day Nazism in Germany. And now they're building the biggest army that Europe has ever seen. Like, this is... We've seen this one before, folks. We've seen this one. It didn't end well for anybody. So, veterans.
Including disorderly conduct and obstruction of vehicle or pedestrian traffic.
Now, see, these are very elderly veterans. I would not expect them to be armed to the teeth and storm an ICE facility. They are doing exactly what they should be doing. Veterans wearing their service uniform, displaying disgust about a policy that this country's doing. We need more veterans doing it. We absolutely need more veterans doing it. And they can clearly afford to get arrested because wherever this is happening, in New York, there are significantly better protest laws than in, say, Warren County, Ohio, or Columbus, Ohio, for that matter, right? So they're in a position and in a place where they're not going to likely lose their freedom, so long as they just comply with the arrest itself. Maybe they have to pay a fine. That being said, it's still violating their First Amendment rights to protest. So, again, the big issue is the fact that people are being arrested for protesting, which is their constitutional right, and the people who are supposed to be protecting those rights are the ones violating them. So do you see the problem here? We don't have a democracy. We don't have a legal justice system. We have a power complex and an institution that enforces its own authority and grants itself more and more authority, which is, again, fascism. Right. Yeah, it's the political apathy, just like here in America. Right. If you're protesting Wall Street or Occupy, then you get literally assaulted. So I'm going to go ahead and play this.
I've been on 250 calories per day for the last 40 days. I eat it after sundown. When I was in Afghanistan, I was under the impression that, we were the good guys and I was standing up for freedom and democracy.
To be clear, I was under the impression we were the good guys as well when I was active duty. It wasn't until I started becoming more politically aware after I left active duty and pursued a career in politics that I realized we are not the good guys. And the amount of times where we could have been the good guys, we weren't doing it for the right reasons anyway.
And when we went over there, supposedly to leave the people alone but look for terrorists, we destroyed a country and many, many, many beautiful but poor people who had no way of protecting themselves from us. My demands of the government is to stop funding this, stop sending military equipment, stop training the IDF and training with the IDF, and to allow those trucks through so that the Gazan people can get their own food and take care of themselves.
And look at these cops. I mean, some of these are actual kids. Like, this person on the right could not be older than 19 or 20 years old. The guy on the left, maybe 23, 24 years old. Like, congratulations, Gen Z. You have some fuckers that you need to take care of as well. Like, what's wrong with anyone putting on the badge nowadays? Dark Sage will say this about Epstein. It reminds me of Nuremberg back in World War II, where the SS magically claimed the Holocaust never happened, and the crimes at the concentration camps were fabricated, and the pictures of what happened were not real. No, I mean, that's... There's no war in Ba Sing Se, right? Right? Am I right? I found out 5 months ago. Late bloomer, I guess. Oh. Yeah, I would say so. But you know what? Here's the thing. Okay. This channel and my politics personally, we are left, right? Like, on the Overton window, we're actually not like extreme left according to the Overton window, because I still believe in a central like hierarchy for governance, because I don't think we as a human race are ready for just doing things for the sake of doing them, because otherwise we'd be there. But that being said, we are much, much more left-leaning than most other channels out there, right? That being said, I am not going to disparage you because you are new to your political awakening and having the veil and the wool removed from your eyes that we are not a good country or a good place to live, and that we haven't been for quite some time, right? Or even if you're not an American and you're just now getting involved in politics because you realize, oh shit, things are not the way I remember them being 5 years ago. Welcome to the club, because quite frankly, we should be all at home rubbing one out, watching anime with a partner and eating bonbons. That's what we should all be doing. That's what everybody I ever talk to wants to do or does if they're not paying attention to politics. But because, the world is on fire, there's an active genocide going on, and fascism is on the rise in every single country on the planet, we can't just do that, right? So if it took you longer to recognize, that just means lucky for you, you had more privilege than most. And it's recognizing that you had more privilege than most that is what's really going to make or break your involvement in the future politically, right? Because if you have enough privilege to where you didn't realize the goose stepping was happening until very recently, that means you have so much privilege that you can protect the victims, those who are being targeted, because of your privilege, right? You can use your resources, your voice, your platform, whatever, your skin color, if that's what your privilege was. Your profession, whatever it may have been, you can start using that and finding ways to connect with your community. Now, granted, protesting isn't for everybody. Organizing isn't for everybody. Social media isn't for everybody. Streaming isn't for everybody. But there is something out there for you. You just got to go out there and find it. That's kind of the problem, though, right? You have to go find it. It doesn't come find you. That's the problem. That's where the left fails. That's where we have failed for the past 30,000 years of civilization, because I guess there's been evidence of civilization going back 30,000 years now. Anyway, we've been failing since the dawn of civilization on organizing liberalism, leftism, right? Actual progress. Because it should be the intellectuals who find each other, not the intellectuals who find people to preach to, right? Because nobody wants to be preached to. But the demagogues and the conservative have always gone towards the masses, to the people. Look at what that person is doing, and you should be upset. Why the fuck are we not doing that? Why is it so hard to find leftists in any corner of the world? Why is it so hard to find left-leaning organization anywhere in the world? Like, unless you're in France and you're trying to join a union, you're going to have a hard time joining a union in any other country. It's not as well known. Not even Germany, which is an extremely industrialized socialist democracy country, doesn't have guaranteed unions, right? Not even Scandinavia, right? So like unions are the baseline of leftist organization, but all the other shit doesn't exist either, right? We don't have protesters, we don't have marchers, we don't have community organizers. Hell, we don't even have community anymore. In most countries, you don't know who the fuck your neighbor is. In most countries. I think like Spain and Italy might be an exception to that rule, but like even Germany, the era of knowing who your neighbors are, unless you're in a poor part of town, is kind of done. And in Asia, it's even worse. America, it's awful. Let's be honest. Right. As you just said, because they love disagreeing on the small things. And that's our fucking problem. We nitpick instead of being like, all right, fine, but let's win first and then debate. No, we want to debate right fucking now and prove you wrong that solar panels are better than fucking wind turbines. Meanwhile, the conservatives all agree, I don't care what we do. Coal, oil, natural gas, lithium, I guess. As long as it ain't none of that there faggotry, that queerness, that wokeness, I don't give a shit what we do, right? Because they're united in their hate and in their discrimination and in their wanton destruction. That's what unites them. No matter what it is, it's control, it's authority, it's discrimination, it's destruction, it's dismantling, it's giving the middle finger to the libs. Meanwhile, left people, and I guess maybe I'll include Democrats to this, but for the sake of argument, Democrats and to the left, which Democrats are like right here on the fascism scale, it's again very clear. Everybody else is just too busy arguing with each other or pretending that it doesn't infect them. So until we leftists start organizing collectively and laying down our petty differences, again, there was a study done, not a very official scientific study, but a study nonetheless, that showed conservatives have a wide array of beliefs but still stand united, and leftists have literally a microcosm of beliefs, meaning the Venn diagram of what a leftist believes and what another leftist believes is mostly a fucking circle. Okay? And we just cannot fucking understand that about each other for whatever reason. I don't understand it. Maybe it's because I want trains, all right? Maybe it's because I care more about getting my fucking trains, empowering them with thorium, and being able to ride the train, the high-speed rail going choo-choo, than giving a flying fuck about you wanting to save the whales and you wanting to save the trees. Great! Save the whales. Let's save the trees. I want my fucking train. All right? That's for you, audience. I'm going to just double down on the tism. But real talk, it shouldn't matter if you want to save the whales and you want to save the trees and I want trains. We should be able to collectively work together on our unifying platform of save and build the things. Save the stuff, build the things. How can we... Hey, write that down, Anna. Build the stuff, save the things. Ronan 2028. Write that shit down, because I will forget. Just fucking ridiculous. I found a genuine Kamala Harris streamer on here. It was scary, but those people are also on our side. Really scary, though. Well, that's the thing. Like, they're not on our side because they believe in blue MAGA. They believe that Biden supporting ethnic cleansing and genocide via Israel was a good thing. So, no, they are not on our side. But it just goes to show that we just don't have good messaging, and our leaders are cowards and or fascist light, which is still fascist, right? We don't differentiate between the Germans in 1942 who weren't Nazis. We just say it was Nazi Germany, right? Do you know what any other party was or any other ideology that existed in Germany during 1942? No, because the only thing that we know about is the Nazis, because that's what was dominant and predominantly running shit. And there was no opposition party because Hitler killed them. I see leftists arguing about which leftist ideology is the best all the time. Right. No, like, oh, I'm a communist. Oh, you're a communist? Well, I'm an anarcho-socio demo na. Okay. Do you believe in saving the things and making stuff? If so, we're on the same fucking team. Build the stuff and save the things. Yes, build the stuff, save the things. The libs here are basically moderate right-wingers, and they're not even moderate. They just want a woman to be in charge, which, unironically, there is a woman in charge of ICE right now. So what they want is a woman president to be in charge of the woman Himmler? Who was in charge of the SS? I don't remember. We already have a woman Goebbels, so I mean... We have a woman Goebbels, a woman Himmler, for the sake of argument, and Reinhard, I think, was the other one. So whatever Reinhard was in charge of, we need a woman in charge of that, and then a woman president, and the liberals would be fucking happy. So no, they're fascists. They just want women in charge, which isn't fucking sane. So, how do you keep the motivation? Doesn't hopeful naive? Oh, brother. I was about to just start the next clip. Let me tell you about this little thing I learned about called burnout. And how I literally had to be talked down from going to Washington, D.C. when Elon Musk went into the Treasury and there was just some meth addict standing in the doorway. So, do I feel... How do I keep the motivation going? Yes. It's less that I'm motivated and more so that people keep talking me down from being Che Guevara. I'll just leave it at that. Anna put it much more succinctly. We have no other choice. If I go out in a blaze of glory, I am a headline for an hour and then Trump does something else, right? If I become the 40th president of the United States of America, Trump goes to prison. Well, let's be honest. Trump will go to the Hague and then the gallows. But the main takeaway here is, as an individual or even in a small group of Marines, my days are numbered, right? I do the pew pew, I get pew pewed back, done. That's it. That's the legacy, right? My mom's sad, big sad, crying, and then life goes on. But if I can become the 40th president of the United States, I can undo all of this shit. Now, well, that doesn't sound very democratic of you. It's not. Because in order to fix this democracy, you have to purge this fascism first, right? And the only way to purge fascism is through unilateral use of force. And unfortunately, the stage has been set for that. Okay? So what Trump is starting, I have to finish. And then once the work is done, I relinquish power. Oh yeah, like you're going to relinquish power. Well, here's the thing, the Romans did that. They had the dictatorship. That's where the word came from. Dictator is the Latin word, dictator. And there have been several throughout Roman history, and the one that was most known was Cincinnatus, which is how we got the name Cincinnati. He was a Roman general, retired, living on a farm. Rome was like, hey, Cincy, we need you to put down this rebellion. We're going to give you dictatorship. And he's like, bro, I don't need that shit. Just make me a general again and I'll get this shit done. He's like, no. We need you to be the dictator because we also fucked up the economy. He's like, all right, bro, I guess. So he went to Rome, fixed their economy, was like, all right, can I go fuck with these barbarians now? And they're like, yes, please. And he did. He fucked them up, went back to Rome and was like, all right, we good? And they were like, yeah. All right, I'm out. And they're like, what? You still got 3 months left. He's like, I'm out. I'd much rather be on the fields farming, hoeing, if you know what I mean. And they were like, no, we will literally give you the consulship. We will literally make you keep, like, we're about to make you stay in charge because you're the best. And he's like, yeah, true, maybe. So she said, but no, and bounced. So honestly, I have no qualms about relinquishing whatever emergency powers I would need in order to remove this administration, ICE, law enforcement, and all of the other sympathetic parties from existence. It's just, that's the nature of the beast. If the American people vote for me to do that, that's a whole different story, right? If they're like, no, keep your powers. It's like, okay, but we're going to hold these every 6 months, right? Then that's how you handle it. You don't say, I am now the Führer. I am now the emperor. I'm now the king. I am now the dictator. That's how the shit happens. And here's the other thing, all right? Since we're talking about fascism and universal power, there have not been enough world leaders throughout human history to count on even one hand that used absolute power absolutely well for their entire duration. Cincinnatus might have been like one of one, to be honest. I don't know. Like, yeah, sure, there's some leaders that are like, oh, the great or the benevolent or whatever else, but they were still murdering people and not giving them true freedom and rights, right? Let's be clear on that. So this is modern times, right? Let's say 2029. I have unilateral authority. All I need to do is arrest every member of Congress, every member of the cabinet, and every member of the administration, everybody in ICE, the entire department, and every cop and every soldier that aided and abetted. And then every governor and every state legislator that aided and abetted, and every corporation that donated, right? So you arrest all those motherfuckers. You then pass universal programs, all of the reforms, and then you invest in some motherfucking trains, in clean energy, and electoral reform. You grant statehood to DC, Puerto Rico, Guam, and all of the other territories that the United States has. You grant statehood to the 11 most populous indigenous tribes, or if there's a 12th one by that point, great. You establish the statehood. You give them autonomy, and then that should be your first 100 days. Done. You still have 3 months left to be like, all right, now we're going to hold the special election where I relinquish my power, or you choose to allow me to continue to keep it. One of the two. Have at it. Like, this is how you solve the problem. But it is a problem that has to be solved with a hammer, or guillotine, or The Hague. One of the two. I don't know where the to-do came from. Why do Americans love capitalism so much? Indoctrination. You would build some more trains in the country for personal benefit. I'm just saying, it's not like trains aren't profitable. My great-grandparents fought against Franco in Spain. When Franco won, they had to flee the country to avoid being executed. So that's my bloodline. My ancestors fought a civil war against the fascists. I'm planning to do the same if it comes to that. As it does. Saying you would build more trains while talking about fascism is crazy. Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? And it's crazy that this is how I'm not the only one that said this. I'm not even the first one who said this. Socialist dictatorship. That's the buzz that's been going around a lot of left-leaning circles. It's like, if we had a socialist dictator who just did the same shit the conservatives are doing, but for healthcare and education instead, nobody would bat an eye. And I was like, I don't think you can say that out loud. I don't think it's okay to say that out loud. You could say emergency powers. You could say constitutional crisis. But you're not supposed to declare a social dictator. And then you see a lot of philosophers and political pundits who are like, well, no, if we had a socialist dictator, right, they could then implement the healthcare, the education, infrastructure reform, trains, and housing, ending the housing crisis, holding politicians accountable, police accountable, this, that, and the other. It's only bad because the fascists keep installing more fascists and more violence and brutality. And I'm like, guys, I'm getting some mixed messages. So you like the dictatorship as long as they're nice? That's still abuse of power. And if there is no limitation, at the very least a timeline, then you've installed a dictator who promised to do good things, might have even done them. But if they're not obligated and you don't have the means to obligate them, then what you've done is install a dictator or a monarchy or an emperor. And then you have no means of addressing it. Okay? Again. If Cincinnatus didn't want to give up his dictatorship, what were they going to do about it? First of all, they wanted him to keep it, so that's a different point. But, like, what were they going to do about it? And the same thing, like Julius Caesar. He declared himself dictator for life, and then they killed him, right? But they did something about it, didn't they? But what happened? The end of the Roman Republic and the birth of the Roman Empire, because Augustus, his adopted son, declared himself Caesar, and then became the first emperor of Rome anyway. So once you hit that slippery slope, you have one chance to maintain republic or democracy. You have one chance. One. And it is up to literally the person in power to utilize that chance. Because I promise you, if 2029 rolls around, Trump declares himself president for a third term, or JD Vance takes over, or some other sociopath takes over from MAGA world, and they, like Miami has already done, cancel elections and use military force and ICE as their own personal green shirts, then do you really think they're just going to step aside? Do You think one of these U.S. Marshals is finally going to grow a pair and take them out? No. Once that shit is settled, It is the Sith. It is literally the Sith in the First Intergalactic Empire. Like, the Jedi, America, regular people, had a chance to prevent the Sith from rising and instead facilitated it. All right? I like Star Wars too, so... I just, folks, like this, to bring it all full circle, like we only have about probably 12 months left of actual representative democracy in the United States of America. We at most have 12 months. And it is going to take something extraordinary, either an actual revolution, a socialist dictator, or some other thing to prevent that from solidifying. I'm actually hoping that this is what does it. And I'm hoping by declaring myself the actual lawful president, despite not... I did run. I did run in the Republican primary. But every other primary person has also been guilty of committing fascist crimes and all this shit, either during their career or are now part of the fascist regime, right? So, anyway, I'd be the only lawful I did run in the Republican primary because I was hoping I could dark horse my way onto the debate stage. Didn't happen. Did not have nearly enough money. That's a different story. Point is, I was a registered candidate, not necessarily on the ballot, but I was a registered candidate. So there is justification for it, right? Unprecedented, but justification. So anyway, I'm the only lawful candidate because there wasn't a Democratic primary. Okay, so fine, maybe I could debate Jill Stein, whatever. Point is, Jill Stein isn't declaring herself president either, right? So, point is, I am. And I am now challenging the authenticity of this administration, especially since they are violating the Constitution, their oaths, and literally steamrolling everyone in their path. So, I'm hoping that actually gets traction and that goes viral and people just are like, fuck it. We were going to raid Area 51. Let's fucking do this shit. This would be a way to challenge the authenticity of the administration, which would maybe allow the Democrats to have enough wiggle room to actually do their fucking jobs. And at that point, I guess we'd see what we see. But that's what I'm talking about right here. So, all right, hold on. Let's go ahead and play another video because now my throat's sore. I need more Wawa, and my fitness journey keeps getting assaulted by chips. Weird. I guess we'll...
Every tap is different.
Oh, of course.
That's why it's so important to test your water before you treat your water. TapScore makes water test.
I don't like Musk any more than you guys do, but I need a second to walk away.
There was a provision in the bill that was going to create a 10-year moratorium on states' ability to in any way regulate AI, and that is a very narrow AI sounds a lot more narrow than it is. It would have meant anything almost algorithmic. Things like rent price fixing websites. I mean, a whole host of things would have been outside of the state's purview. That was voted out. Here's Steve Bannon with Mike Davis talking about this. Is quite a turnaround. The vote was something like 99-1 to strip it out of the bill. Now, Bannon's very excited because he really has a problem with folks like Elon Musk, because Elon Musk has a problem with him. And so this is part of this little intra-MAGA fight, I guess you could call it. Again, it's not ideological at the end of the day. It really is just which one of them wants to be closer to Donald Trump.
After midnight, they thought they had this one at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I told you these chips are fucking kicking my ass. So I will not be raiding shit other than the fridge.
there was a 99-1 vote, which shows you no senator, when exposed, wanted to be near this thing. This is the kind of radioactive vote that they don't want attached to their, and the only guy that voted for is Tillis, who's leaving and needs a job as a lobbyist, obviously, with AI.
This is not what I thought
It is the shift in this from actually being a done deal after weeks and weeks and weeks, that's how powerful the oligarchs are, to 99-1 against, you know, what?
I thought this was about the America Party. That's okay, though. Where did you show about Miami? We definitely need to talk about that. Holy shit, we got so much stuff. Towards the bottom. Ah, here we go.
The city commissioners agreed to postpone the November election for yet another year. Local 10's Janine Stam with us live now in Miami with more on the fallout today. Janine?
And some candidates for mayor say this is actually bringing more attention to their campaigns as they fight against that vote from last.
This is getting more attention than their campaigns. These people are such fucking losers that nobody gave a shit about them, so they just stole the election.
If you're looking for a cause, and if you was looking for a reason, if you was looking for a moment, your moment is now.
Some candidates for Miami mayor, like Michael Hepburn, are not happy.
The motion passes 3-2.
After commissioners narrowly voted to postpone this November's election to next year.
Again, how can an elected body vote to give themselves more time in office without the consent of the people? That is, again, this is literally why I see no problem whatsoever for simply saying, well, okay, fine, then I'm the president of the United States. I voted. Everybody in chat voted. And we all agree that I should be the president of the United States. Ipso acto fum, we're good. We're good. I'm the president now. Because everybody in chat, and myself included, decided I should be. That's what just fucking happened in Miami. Well, we're all here. And we're all commissioners. We have legislative authority, don't we? Yeah, sure. Hey, I think we should hold the elections next year, even though they're happening this year, and we're very, very, very unpopular, and nobody asked for it. I think we should just hold them next year for to align with the state elections. All in favor? Yeah. We get to stay in power legally because we said it's legal? Yeah. Sweet, let's fucking do it. All right, all in favor? Aye. That's what Miami just fucking did. Unbelievable.
Needs to go to a referendum. That's what this is all about.
Former city manager and candidate Emilio Gonzalez agrees with Florida's attorney general, who called the move unconstitutional.
I spent almost 30 years in uniform. I was defending democracy all over the place. And now I got to come to Miami and defend democracy?
Last week's vote to shift city elections from odd years to even years means anyone not term limited serves an extra year in office. It also means elections will better align with state and federal races.
In the end,
I also got attacked by the chips earlier.
Former North Miami
complying so I don't get
Scott
attacked
Galvin
again.
told the commission in an earlier meeting that his city did the same thing, and it was a good thing.
And sure enough, in the very first election after we moved it, our municipal turnout, which normally was in the 12% range, jumped to 68%. And the costs...
No, he won't. Asmongold is a Trump supporter, a virulent Trump supporter, and is very much so pro-police brutality. So, no, he would not.
...of elections dropped.
There's more people pulling out.
Are you shitting me? Asmongold said that he would vote for Mamdani. He's in Texas. Asmongold is a Texan, for one. But for two... nothing about his politics would even begin to suggest that he would align with anything that Mamdani has said, because, again, supporting police brutality and being a misogynist are antithetical to being a democratic socialist regardless. Yeah, Fucking influencers. Are they doing this because they see red control is slipping for Miami? No. It's actually worse than that, because I don't think they are losing control in Miami. That's the problem. Miami is a major city, and most major cities are actually democratically led and elected in most parts of the country, save for the most Republican areas of the country, right? That being said, by postponing the election in Miami, right, what they are doing is setting a precedent that duly elected people of a given assembly can unilaterally choose to give themselves more time by changing elections under some pretext. Okay, do I need to say that again? I'll say it again. By postponing the Miami election, this elected body is setting the stage for other elected bodies to postpone their next election through whatever justification the public will accept and or tolerate. Even then, because they passed it, if nobody, the courts, the executive, or law enforcement interjects and prevents that from happening, other bodies are going to do the same thing and postpone elections, which is why I said 12 months. It's going to be very hard to justify canceling the midterms when there is so much public outrage at this administration regardless, right? But how do you suspend the election, even if it is the midterms? By creating a national crisis, by, national security, or some other justification. Just straight up intimidation. Hey, you're brown or black. We're making an extreme police presence at those voting areas, just so you know, for your safety. But Latino communities, black communities, Arab communities, and various Asian communities, you're going to have a significantly higher police, military, and ICE presence at your locations because we fear for your safety. Now, how many people do you think are going to turn up to vote? You still have the right. You still have the right to vote. But if you show up in person to vote, we're going to make sure you are safe. Oh, and we're not going to count mail-in ballots because we can't trust those. So you could, but we want you to come in person to our voting machines that we made sure are good. See where I'm going with this? By canceling the elections or postponing them, it's setting an extremely dangerous precedent. Did Team Red change it? Yes. That's the whole fucking controversy. They voted on it. They themselves voted if they themselves should be able to cancel the election and postpone it, and they all agreed that they should be able to do that. And I agree with chat that I should be the president right now. So therefore, it's true. And that's where we are. Did they gerrymander and cheat to get more seats and more control? I mean, I don't know about all that. But whatever they did worked. And now they are playing the postponing elections. And then postponing elections. And then canceling elections. And then, what's an election? Again, I want to abolish political parties just as much as the next person. But this administration probably will abolish any opposition party that isn't his party, and then he will literally be in charge of who can even run as a Republican by forcing a loyalty test. Which is what the Nazis did. Correct. But see, facts don't matter, and neither does logic. Control does, and being able to manipulate the narrative. If you can't beat them, mess with elections. Oh wait, Team Red loves that. No, that's where we're at.
People to vote. The Miami-Dade supervisor of elections agrees, but notes legal challenges are on the way. And to those unhappy with the change,
that's even a larger reason to go out and vote, Because the people that are there that took those votes, you put them in there. Or you didn't if you didn't go vote, right?
Hepburn says he may take legal action. Gonzalez calls it a slippery slope. We did reach out to the Attorney General's office to see what action may be taken because he did say that action is coming. We're waiting to hear back. We're in Miami. I'm Janine Stan.
Yeah, well, if the courts decide to drag their fucking feet, then it's de facto anyway. Which is, again, the problem. If every branch of government is complicit in the criminal activity, there is no democracy. Checks and balances only works if the three branches check and balance each other. If they're all complicit, you have a dictatorship with extra steps. The weirdest thing is that they lie in your face when they know you, that they are lying. That messes with my head. Well, that's fascism. That's propaganda. I can't make it to the protest. Too much is happening that's going to keep me away from it. Domestic duties and a lot. No, we had that conversation earlier. Don't protest if you can't. There are other jobs that we need done. Organizing, messaging, social media, outreach, other calls to action, right? There's all sorts of shit that needs doing. We need to organize the left the same way that the right organizes fascism. And we don't need billions of dollars to do it. We just need people to stop fighting with each other to do it. Well, we got to watch one more.
Penn Station Rewards. Earn points with
after these messages from our sponsors.
A former Miami city manager is suing the municipality, alleging that a recent decision to postpone elections is stopping him from running for mayor this year. Meanwhile, Florida's governor and the state attorney general say postponing the elections for city officials is not legal.
CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor.
I'm surprised the governor actually said that. Let's hear that again. Did I hear something wrong?
For mayor this year. Meanwhile, Florida's governor and the state attorney general say postponing the elections for city officials is not legal.
That's crazy to me because I actually thought DeSantis would have been on board with it because he's going to try and pull some shit as governor anyway. He's already building Alligator Auschwitz with his own money. The state money, but you know what I mean. So that's interesting that there's already pushback, even though it's exactly the next step of the fascist playbook, which is to suspend elections and declare only one party has power.
CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is live from Coconut Grove with a reaction. Yvonne?
Yes, Elliot and Lauren, right now, nobody here at City Hall is speaking about the issue. In fact, Mayor Francis Suarez sent us a statement. We are told that they allege that because of a lawsuit, interviews are not granted. So we did talk to that man who filed the lawsuit.
If we want to move our election, we should ask the voters.
Emilio Gonzalez is one of several candidates seeking to replace Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, but that may not happen this year.
If we want to extend them for a year, we should ask the voters.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
The motion passes.
Last month in a
How the fuck are you going to pass the motion to suspend the elections amongst yourself? Like, this is so blatantly corrupt. The fact that they weren't immediately arrested after the vote, after the ayes were, like, the fact that they are not being forcibly removed and emergency or elections are being held today is a failure of democracy. The fact that they are still in their position, the fact that they are not behind bars facing corruption charges is the fucking problem. It is the fucking problem. The whole problem.
To vote, Miami commissioners postponed the 2025 election for city officials until November of 2026, in spite of warnings from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and State Attorney James Othmere, who insisted not to delay elections without getting voters' approval.
The reality is local governments have to abide by Florida law.
When CBS News Miami reached out to the governor's office, they reiterated what DeSantis said at a press conference, that changing the election date by commission vote would violate the Miami-Dade County Charter and state constitution.
Could it come to the point where commissioners could get suspended? The law does provide me that as one of many recourses.
Miami City Attorney.
Notice how DeSantis says, I have the power to suspend them, that it is against the city charter and the state constitution. And this happened months ago, according to what they just said. Of course, there's no information about that. But the fact is, they voted on this a while ago. And he has the power to do something about it right now and isn't.
Attorney George Wyson has argued that the city has the right to make.
How many politicians do I like? So, that's not a loaded question. It isn't a loaded question. The problem is, the politicians that I have liked in the past have been significant letdowns. They were the hero, and then they lived long enough to become the villain. Bernie Sanders being pro-Israel for 19 out of the past 20 months? Fuck him. Not having nearly enough energy to break away from the party and is stumping for the Democrats on their behalf? Fuck him. AOC not doing anything effectively to resist this administration through her powers as a congresswoman? Fuck her. Jasmine Crockett? Again, bombastic, great speaker, very charismatic, very snappy, very knowledgeable. I mean, she's an extremely, extremely intelligent woman. Person, just straight up, she is an extremely knowledgeable person, very much so deserving of being a congressperson, just because I don't want to emphasize the fact that she's a woman. Like, she is a good politician. But again, she isn't doing anything substantive to because again, she could be doing press releases, she could be doing press conferences, she could be out there organizing, helping the leftist movement rally. Like, all of those No Kings things, she could have been there and getting people to register to vote. Same thing with the Bernie Sanders and the whatever forums he was doing with AOC. All he was doing was stumping for the party. Fuck the party. We need to talk about actual electoralism or actual organizing or actual anything else other than stumping from the party that gave us the second Trump administration, which is going to be the last presidency of the Republic of America, unless we have anything to say about it. So there are politicians that I like. I think Mamdani is a great person, a great ideologist. Jasmine Crockett, love her to death. I think she is a fantastic representative. AOC, I think, is great. I think she's a great speaker. I think she's very charismatic. I think she's a very fiery Latina, which is something we definitely need right now. But that's where it ends. They are great representations of great leadership. Does that make sense? Because even Mamdani isn't. I mean, yeah, he's condemning capitalism and, you know, condemning Israel and, you know, democratic socialism, and he's organizing. So he's the number one politician that I know of right now in my book, because he's at least backing it up. But my first impression of him was kind of cowardly. That he was cowardly. That unless he had the prominence or the profile, he wasn't going to risk it. And that to me is weakness. That's cowardice. So I guess I'll be able to judge if and when he becomes the mayor of New York City. But for now, yeah, I can't think of a single politician that I have heard of that is about that life, walks the walk, and talks the talk. I have not came across that. And I'm not even saying I'm that guy, because I haven't been in any elected positions, right? So I'm the best politician I know because I stand for what I believe in. Yeah, but I also have nothing to lose and nothing to gain, or everything to gain and nothing to lose, right? So that's kind of unfair, an unfair comparison. And by the same token, all of you would be my favorite politicians for supporting me. Like, hey, you want me to be at the top? Y'all are happy to be supporting me. Great. That makes you even better, because now we have a team working together instead of just one guy or gal. Oh. Jasmine is very pro-Israel? Then great. Kashma Sawant is the only good... Oh, shit, you're right. She's the mayor of Seattle? She's pretty fucking baller. She's pretty fucking baller. Yeah, 2018 AOC doesn't exist. Oh. You're saying no politicians have enough gangsta? No. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be very honest with you, and maybe it's because I'm eating potato chip in the Oval Office, right? That I can say this, but if I was a congressperson, and there's still an opportunity for me to run for Congress in the state of Ohio, which is where I moonlight between the White House and Ohio. If I become a congressman of my district, which it's either the 15th or the 1st in Columbus, one of the first things I would do is march to the nearest ICE detention facility with a news agency with an AR-15 and body armor. And when those ICE agents tried to stop me, I'd also have my sidearm on my hip. I'd be like, you can get the fuck out of my way, or I'm going to declare you a public threat to domestic safety, and I will remove you from these premises permanently and introduce you to your fucking maker. And then, when they pull their weapons, I will fire upon them as a congressman exercising his rights. Because I'm about that fucking life. So until or unless somebody steps up like that, again, they got arrested and they were like, oh, you can't do that. I'm a congressperson. I'm allowed to be. Resist. Fucking resist. I don't even care if it's violent. Just fucking resist. Have some spine. Ovaries can take much more of a pounding than testicles ever could. Grow a pair. Like, fuck. Sometimes this feels like a skit. Bro, I keep looking at the camera thinking, well, obviously that's the camera, but I keep looking to the camera thinking like, clear, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and this is all going to be a bad dream. I'm going to be 13 years old having a fever dream because I just spent way too much time playing Final Fantasy 7, of course. But no, every day I wake up, it's this fucking nightmare. And it's like, how hard is it to resist fascism? How hard? You have the power. You're a congressman. You're a senator. You have the power and the authority and the jurisdiction and the justification to tell those ICE agents to fuck off. Bring the marshals with you. If you're not willing to get in their face and be violent towards it, I'm willing, but they aren't. That's fine. Get 15 or 20 U.S. Marshals and have them confront the ICE agents and say, you will move or you will be arrested for, again, obstruction of official congressional duties. And don't get me wrong, I would love to make that YouTube video and post it. Maybe y'all can fucking clip the past 2 minutes and post that on your social media pages. But to me, it's just insane that that's what has to be said. You are a senator. You have access to the military, the FBI, the CIA, TSA, NSA, the U.S. Marshals. You have access to all of those resources. And you're sitting on your fucking thumb saying, oh, there's nothing we can do. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, fuck, I forgot my water. So, anywho, maybe I will run for Congress, and maybe I'll launch my campaign in comedy clubs and say exactly everything I just said here today, and see how that goes for me. Because I am at my wit's end. I am at my wit's end. And honestly, I'm pretty sure many people are. And although it might get me arrested or beaten or whatever else, I bet people would be like, holy shit, bro. I don't think you were joking about that. I'm not joking about that. I will go to Vance's or some Bass Pro and gun shop today and have the people pick out the people's AR-15 and the people's 9mm handgun and the appropriate slings and shit to go along with it. And that'll be my campaign promise. The second I am sworn in to the House of Representatives, I will fucking pistol whip ICE on my first fucking day. I swear to uphold and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. All right, cool. I'm heading to the ICE detention center now. All right, peace. And my weapons will be waiting for me, and I will arrive armed, and I will challenge ICE. I feel like that's all I have to do. That's cocky, of course, but I feel like that promise beyond the trains and healthcare and education, people are like, bro, he wants to get himself killed for a country? I'm here for it. Let's see it. Let's see it happen. So, I don't know. Oh, okay, Anna, you answered that for me. Yep. You could be the next Lewis Black. By the way, it was on earlier, and under the scope of today's politics, it still holds up well. Called Back in Black. Yeah. Republicans low-key might find you based. Yeah, what's more alpha than whipping out your gun and saying, America! I guess. I'm just so angry. I am so angry at my wit's end that I am willing to go to battle if that's what it takes. Maybe that's what people are waiting for. I have the event going on. Let's protest outside every single government building in the country. But that's not sexy. Hey, this fucking white boy, Poindexter, autistic kid who loves trains said he would pistol whip ICE agents on his first day in Congress. I think we should let him. I kind of want to see what this nerd could do, honestly. I feel like that would be the story. And you know what's funny? I've been holding that back for the past 7 years, 8 years, honestly, because that's not how a polished politician is supposed to present themselves. That's not how I want to present myself. To be perfectly 100% honest, I do not want to present myself in an unhinged, aggressive, totalitarian way. It's my way or the highway. I will pistol whip ICE agents. That's unhinged, crazy talk. It's how I feel. It's how I feel, chat. But that's not somebody you can trust to write and pass laws on your behalf. That's your drunk uncle on the 4th of July, right? Except I'm also intelligent, if I may pat myself out on the back a teensy bit. I feel like I'm fairly intelligent. So I do have the nuance, but I have the rage to go along with it. I got drunk uncle in me. Oh, I got all sorts of drunk uncle in me. I am an uncle, by the way. And I'm a lightweight, so it's getting drunk and being an uncle, easy for me. But I also have the polished politician, which is my vest. I like my vest. I even have a Star Wars tie. I love it. I want to wear that in Congress and represent the people. It's got Vader on it. But apparently I'm going to have to be unhinged. My real self? My non-masked self? I don't... Ronan unmasked. I don't fucking know, but I truly feel that's what it's going to take to get anywhere in this country in the politics, because we are so fucking unhinged and far removed from sanity. Not going to lie, and as someone who lives in a country where things still go pretty normal, you say some shocking things. Welcome to America. My high school math teacher had a Three Stooges and Marx Brothers tie. See? Normal in America.
Change based on a Florida statute.
The reason behind this is to boost voter participation.
Commissioner Damian Pardo voted in favor of moving elections for local officials on...
Did this motherfucker just say, we postpone the election to boost voter participation? Then what you should do is hold the mayoral elections this year like normal, and then hold them again in 2026 during the midterms. And then if you get elected again, great. If not, sucks to suck. That's how that shit works. If you're going to change the timeline of something, then you cut yourself short. And that, oh my goodness, apolitical. You are correct. I am a liberal in Europe because on the Overton window, I am maybe left of actual center. So there's the center left, right? But it's still the center. I'm probably just to the left of the actual center, which would make me a liberal in Europe. And I am advocating for things that already exist in Europe, which has a similar economy to ours. But I have to say unhinged shit just to be taken seriously in America because we are so far fascist that being a centrist is the equivalent of Star Trek utopian leftism. When actual Star Trek leftist utopia is nowhere even in the realm of what I'm talking about, because I also don't fundamentally believe we're ready for it. They absolutely would love a working class revolution if we took away all the labels of Democrats and socialism, which is why I said I will give us universal health care and education after pencil whipping ICE. And then I'm also going to advocate for trains. Oh, wrong button.
Until next year, he did not want to comment on camera, but on his social media, he stated why he voted the way he did.
No longer running in a 10% voter turnout scenario. Now you're running in a 60% voter turnout scenario.
The reason so few people vote, I think, is not because they don't want to vote. I think it's because the quality of candidates.
Meanwhile,
yeah, true. The quality of candidates in a for-profit electoral system where you have to be wealthy in order to campaign in the first place or be unhinged. Your earlier question, why a comedy club? Because comedy clubs are free rally points that I don't have to pay for. I don't have to pay for the permit. I don't have to do the advertising that there's going to be a rally here. People don't have to call off work or come in on their weekend. It's a comedy club. They're already there, and I have a captive audience for 5 to 10 minutes. And even if I have to pay for that, say it's $50 to speak, I would be paying $150 just for the permit to host somewhere, never mind all the costs associated with having a stage, a podium, sound, lights, whatever else, or the cost of advertisement. I could just literally show up to a comedy club, drop $50 and say, you motherfuckers belong to me for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and you're going to listen to me bitch about this country. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm declaring my candidacy for Congress. You can pick the party.
Francis Suarez sent a statement saying Miami shouldn't be holding elections when so few vote. It's costly, outdated, and leads to results that do not reflect the city. Even year elections mean higher turnout, stronger mandates, and a government more in step with its people. We presented that scenario to Gonzalez.
There won't be an election next year. I'm banking that we're going to have an election this year.
Now, just to clarify, City of Miami voters will decide this November, among other things, on term limits for politicians, and that includes commissioners as well as the mayor. But they're not supposed to elect officials. However, you heard Mr. Gonzalez, he's willing to put up a fight. We are live in Coconut Grove. Ivan Taylor, CBS News, Miami.
So, one last little quip on everything that they just said about, oh, we're only postponing the election so there's more voter turnout. So you're going to do something that dictators and fascists do to encourage democracy? Who the fuck are you trying to convince here? I mean, obviously you're trying to convince the people so they don't actually drag you out into the street, draw and quarter you. But realistically, if you truly believed in holding the elections during an even year, you would hold the election this year and then hold another election next year. And if you won your election this year and again next year, then and only then do you get to have your extra year in office. I feel like that's the democratic approach, not, oh, we're just going to decide amongst ourselves, not you, but ourselves, that we're going to do this. And then come up with a lie that sounds reasonable so that anybody who argues with us sounds like fascists instead of us doing the actual fascist thing. Insane. Man, you can't switch fucking...
City commissioners agreed to postpone the November election.
Can we pause? Thank you. Wouldn't be a stream without technical difficulties. So, municipal workers, DC 33, AFCME, AFL-CIO are on strike. They're the Philadelphia city workers, which includes trash collectors, and they are striking. There are over 10,000 strikers that are striking right now in Philadelphia, one of America's largest and oldest cities. This is the response to capitalism that we have been waiting for, that we need, because these workers literally are the prevention of health and sanitation crises in every single city, and they're usually shit on, unironically, no pun intended. And to stand up to both the corruption of their government in the city, as well as the capitalism that is affecting their work, this strike is symbolic on multiple levels. So I want to know what this is going to say.
This position that we're in was not caused by us. We were there, ready, willing, and able to have conversation, meaningful conversation, and work in good faith for all these.
And notice how a lot of these protesters or strikers are black. I'm actually shocked there isn't a more violent police response. But then again, it is Philly. So I think Philly has some pretty solid demographics.
Many months. It's been a city that has dragged their feet at a snail's pace to get where we are now, unfortunately. So we're here. We're negotiating today. We're waiting on the exact time for it. I'm hopeful that the city understands that the proposal that they're offering just does not meet the needs of our members to be able to live inside of this city.
The trash is just piling up. Oh, man. That's going to be a problem within a week because it's also extremely fucking hot. Damn.
I tell my neighbor, I say, I'm going to bring my water here too. No, so like this, right?
See, you're a lot stronger than that.
No, I get it. I'm a resident here on Center City, Philadelphia, and I heard about the strike, the trash going strike. Hey, listen, the workers got to eat, right? And
yeah.
But I mean, it's a little inconvenient. But they were talking about so much trash on the floor, and that's because we got to do a little bit more. Just try to put that trash inside the dumpster, not leave it on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
and,
but see, here's...
I mean, I support them,
This is what worries me, because the same shit happened during COVID. We had a nationwide general strike where we were ordered unilaterally by the federal government to stay home. Ordered to stay home. So we had a de facto general strike, except for grocery store workers and gas stations, essentially, right? And it took us 2 months to get bored and inconvenienced and to bitch about that. So on the one hand, the city workers they have a whole fuckload of leverage. Your city's going to smell like trash and rotten garbage, and you're going to blame the mayor. And for maybe a week or two, that's going to work. So the question is the mayor going to play the game of chicken, of potentially losing the support of his citizens? And do the striking union organizers have enough clout in the media to maintain control of the narrative? Because if they don't, they're going to be strong-armed out of this as soon as it starts smelling like trash, like a landfill in the entire city. Because that's what Biden did to the railroad strikers. So fuck Biden and fuck the Democrats. But also, we have a long-standing history of shitting on union workers. So I am cautiously optimistic. Or they'll blame migrants, right? They found one of the few immigrants in Philadelphia in this community to talk on the camera. That's probably not going to do them any favors with certain demographics. It's going to be so gross. Yeah. I have a very professional way of talking to the camera. Exactly, because that's what I should be doing. I should be talking to the camera professionally, to you, chat, the audience professionally. I should be sitting in the White House professionally, discussing things in a professional, calm way. But shit is so fucking unhinged. I can't stop the airman in me coming out. The Sam Ronan, hair down, vest out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just...
I guess city mayor knows, she has to come out, to the play and be like, listen, let's come to an agreement and let's make everybody happy.
I'm definitely in support of the workers striking. Right now, it's a little inconvenient.
I hope that solidarity
we have somewhere
lasts.
to dump the trash. Before, years ago, we didn't have nowhere to dump the trash when they went on strike. So it's working for now for those that can get here. I'm asking my neighbors if they need trash dumped and things like that. So I'm trying to be as helpful as possible right now.
You must be an otter. So yeah, I am obviously pro this strike. I am very much so pro the worker. I just hope Philadelphians don't betray the solidarity. I didn't even know about the DC strike, so
look as good outside as it feels on the inside. The fresh.
When does it end?
Oh, this is Philly. DC 33 is their union name. Okay, well, let's hear it from the news then.
When does it end? We don't know the answer to that quite yet. But today, negotiations are set to resume as city workers enter day 8 of the strike. Both sides have been away from the negotiating
they're just
table
throwing
for a few
trash
days
in the fucking
as
medians.
Trash and the anger.
See, that's the problem with Americans. We're too lazy to actually drive to the landfill, but we're not too lazy to drive our trash somewhere else where it won't inconvenience us. But we're also not going to stay and stand in solidarity with workers who are fighting for their rights. So I am very curious how this is going to play out. I'm unironically trying to be normal in a country based on crazy. Yeah. I do not trust the news in the USA. No, but here's the thing about news in America. Don't ever trust the national news. That's pure propaganda. But usually your local news you can trust because it's local. So, hey, this is what's going on in the city. Now, whenever there's police involved, then I wouldn't trust it. Or again, if a corporation is involved, it's a union, though, and it's a strike that's currently in favor with the population, so you can trust it. Once the strike loses favor with the population, that's when you stop trusting it. Like, there's still a level of discernment that you have to engage in.
Tension over the trash continues to pile up on the streets. Action News reporter Corey Davis is joining us live from Center City with a look at the city's efforts to pick up all that garbage. And when they finally get there, Corey, it's going to take them a while to do so.
Yeah, Tammy, people out here in the area of 25th and Spruce are a little happier because crews came out not long ago, actually minutes ago, and they finished cleaning up all of the trash around this dumpster, but the dumpster is getting full once again. Union officials just told me that they haven't set a time or a location for negotiations just yet, as all of this lingers on for an 8th day. Today,
so the strike has been going on and there hasn't been any negotiations, no discussions whatsoever. So am I understanding that correctly? This strike has been going on for going into 2 weeks, and city leadership has just said, wow.
Philadelphia mayor's office enlisting the help of private contractors from across the region.
Hiring private contractors. Okay, so instead of hiring and paying your city paid government workers, you're going to hire contractors at a ridiculously higher rate to do this work when you would be saving money by just doing whatever it is the Philly strikers are demanding. America.
And out of state, as thousands of unionized city workers remain off the job for an 8th day. The driver picking up this dumpster telling us it'll take at least an hour to empty it and bring it back. but there was more than enough trash on the sidewalk to fill multiple dumpsters. We were there as crews later brought in 4 front-end loaders to put all...
Gee, how much more expensive is it to rent a front-end loader, pay somebody who's qualified and authorized to drive it, and then pay them their actual salary for doing the work, when you could have literally just met the demands of the strikers? See, this is the problem with America and leftist organizing. This should be happening nationally. Every single city sanitation worker in America should refuse to show up until whatever their demands are. Now, here's the thing about strikes. Usually it's about their own personal pay and benefits. But every once in a while, people will go on strike in protest or in solidarity with something else. For instance, what if the fire department went on strike in solidarity with sanitation workers? What if city admin did the same thing? What if the treasury did the same thing? Not that I would ever expect police to not act in their own self-interest, but what if? I'm just saying, if all of these government workers who are union would all go on strike in solidarity to counteract, I don't know, either this administration, the corruption in their city, their county, their state, whatever else, and they will refuse to do anything. Like, this is the power of the people. This is the power of leftist organization. This is the power of populism. This is the power of socialism. Workers, and honestly, going back to Rome, this is what the exodus of the plebs was. Every single worker, the plebeians, the caste, plebeians, workers in Rome would fucking leave until the patricians kind of got the message that, like, hey, whatever we were doing before really pissed them off, and now, well, we're fucked. So there's like 30 of us in the city, and lots of them, and I'm scared again. So let's just tell them we're sorry and fix it. Whatever it was we did, let's fix it. Again, we have the exact same authority, the exact same power. It's guaranteed in the First Amendment of the Constitution, and we have laws governing unions that also give us the right to strike. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is also a federally protected right for any worker, regardless of union affiliation, to strike. Just throwing that out there. All right, we got a little bit of time left. So that was the things I really wanted to cover. Miami, the strikes, I mean. Ooh, yeah. Remember how I said 11 civilians decided to Rambo an ICE facility? So this is that story. Now, I want to preface this story. Again, 11 charged in ambush on ICE officer at detention center. Again, you take any general prison in America, they usually have between 30 and 150 staff on site every shift. Okay? So, 11 of you storming a detention center isn't going to get very far. And it was on the 4th of July, which, hey, good for you. But let's just go back to, I don't know how many people are at this detention center. I don't know what's considered a big or a small staffed detention center. I just know that in the prison system, there's usually around 150 to 50, depending on the size of the prison and the level of prisoners. Minimum security versus maximum security, there's going to be more people there, right? So, but 11 people ambushing the detention center who have no training, no organization, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you aren't ex-military. You're not, and I am ex-military, and I don't have the training to go door to door in urban warfare or in breaching a secure facility. I don't have that fucking training. I'd be willing to do it, but that doesn't mean I got the training. So I would be one of these 11 morons, right? And they're morons, but they're heroes, but they're morons, right? So here's the thing. These 11 patriots did what every American should be doing, which is storming the Nazi death camps. Okay? Storming the Nazi death camps is exactly the right thing to do at this point in time. As an American, it is your Second Amendment fucking right to storm the Nazi death camps. Being an American, having fought World War II, America fought World War II against the Nazis and declaring unilaterally that Nazis are the bad guys, storming the Nazi concentration camp is as American as it gets, and it was on the 4th of July, which makes it even more American. America, fuck yeah. But 11 of y'all who have no training, no background, no experience, trying to infiltrate a secure facility are going to be arrested or killed outright or laughed at from behind the secure facility, okay? So, as much as that is the American thing to do, and as much as it is the right, moral, and ethical thing to do to storm these detention centers, your whole city needs to be fucking doing it, right? I'm talking, if you're not several hundred strong and armed on top of that, or you're not 20 to 40 Marines, I would refrain from trying to storm and infiltrate a secure facility unless you are with 799 others, or the other 39 of you are former active duty Marines or infantry or something along those lines. I was so shocked when the MAGA guys occupied that government building, and at what point would the left do that? Well, apparently the left is doing that right now, just poorly. And also, that was about 1,000 Jan 6 rioters. It was 1,500, wasn't it? I think those were the final numbers, or 1,500 were arrested or something. Regardless, it was 1,500 people who stormed the Capitol building. They overwhelmed the security of the building and forced the Congress people to flee, right? 535 Congress people versus 1,500 citizens. That's a 3-to-1 ratio, plus the cops and the Capitol Police and all this other shit might have made it down to 2-to-1. If that, I still think it was a 3-to-1 ratio at best. And that's how they took over the Capitol building. If it had only been 11 of those idiots, that would have not been anything. That would have been done. That would have been over before it ever began. That's why I said, if you're going to storm a detention facility, you either need to be a former, or hell, honestly, if you're active duty and a Marine or infantry or have combat training, you might want to talk to your people and do the right thing and actually fulfill your oath. I'm not advocating for violence or insurrection. Come at me, bro. I'm saying our oath, I, Samuel Ronan, swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies, both foreign and domestics, and to obey the lawful orders of the president and the officers appointed above me and the American people. And I think there's another line, and will do honor to the same, so help me God. That's what I remember off the top of my head. But you know what? Oath of enlistment, Army Mill, that would be a great place to put it, because you don't swear the oath to your branch, you swear it to your country. So I'll do it again. So if you're active duty, or if you clip this next, like I don't know how to clip on Twitch. I've never done it before. So clip this stream starting right now. I, Samuel Ronan, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. That was the fucking oath we swore. So I got the I will bear true faith and allegiance early instead of at the end. So I did do the oath correctly. Point being, just throwing that out there, I swore that oath several times throughout my military career, and I meant it every single fucking time I said it. Because that's what an oath is. It is more than, not trying to compare military oath to your country and constitution to a marriage, but it's the same fucking thing. I swear to hold and honor and love my wife or husband, whatever, right? That is still an oath, that marriage oath before God, except for me, it's before the Title 10 U.S. Code Act of May 5th, 1960. But you get where I'm going? So it's still an oath. It's still a commitment. And I believe in that commitment. So as a veteran, I am imploring all active duty service members to disobey the unlawful orders of this administration, to return back to your post instead of terrorizing citizens from exercising their First Amendment, which is in the Constitution, and not allowing ICE to run rampant in our country, kidnapping people and trafficking them, to include citizens, which, by the way, the Constitution doesn't allow that. And the Constitution is inalienable rights, which means even if you're here blatantly illegal saying, I am an illegal immigrant, you still have the right to due process. And that's in the Constitution. So I am imploring every single service member to step the fuck up and fulfill your fucking oath. As president, I am ordering you to fulfill your oath, to countermand that administration's order with my order, which is actually lawful, and to do that thing instead. Oh shit, sorry. Got lost in the chat there. So Sishlit, did you already get banned? No, he's still here. Great. Okay. So welcome to the stream. Oh shit, damn. Hold up. I was so shocked when the MAGA guys occupied the building. At what point would the left do that? All right. So we should be doing that now. I thought it was a great idea to storm the Capitol, but they didn't do it for good reason. Okay, cool. So I'm catching up. Sichlit asked me what's my thoughts on liberal Zionism. Also Nazis. If you're a Zionist, you're a Nazi. There is no in between. I don't give a fuck what adjective or demographic you put. Liberal Zionist, African Zionist, African American Zionist, American Zionist, Jewish Zionist, horrible. Sorry. Terrible. Muslim Zionist, still bad. If you're a Zionist, you're a Nazi. Fuck you. Like, you're supporting genocide? Fuck you. Fuck Israel. Fuck Zionism. Judaism is a religion. Zionism is Nazis. Okay? Judaism, religion. Israel is not Jewish. Israel is Zionist. Distinct difference. Okay? Okay. The FBI estimates 2,000 to 2,500 people entered the Capitol building during the attack, which goes back to the point. It's going to take hundreds, and in this case, thousands, to storm these heavily guarded, secure buildings. So 11 people ain't going to cut it. Why are those guys more competent at working against things? Because they aren't constantly infighting, arguing over semantics. Abolish ICE, oust Trump. So they want to concentrate all Palestinians in Gaza to a camp in Rafah. Well, we saw how well that went the first time, right? I'm clipping you out of context. Thank you. Appreciate that. Law enforcement doesn't go as hard on them as they do on leftists. The KKK still exists. The Black Panthers don't, and they were founded to fight the KKK. And we know for a fact there are plenty of studies and commissions that have said that the police are the KKK and that the KKK and Aryan Brotherhood have been infiltrating the military and police since the 50s and 60s. I'm cooked, probably. That's you? A liberal Zionist? Yeah, fuck you. If that's what you're choosing to declare yourself as, then fuck you. Period. If you ever get clipped out of context, yeah, I guess so. Well, True Steel just did, so we'll find out. Veteran President Daddy. I mean, get you someone who can do it all. Veteran, President, and Daddy. Under binational state. At this point, no. Fuck Israel. Israel doesn't deserve to exist as a state because it's a Zionist state. If we want to establish a Jewish state, that's a whole different conversation. But Israel isn't that. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Yep. Oath to the Constitution of the country, not to a single person. Exactly. Is there a fascist in here? Seems like it. Oh, I'm the Oh, I see. Well, I'm catching up to the rest of it. So, Jews have the same rights as everyone else. No ethno-apartheid states. Well, that would fall under Jewish national rights. Doesn't have to be exclusivist. Yeah, people's right to self-determination. But again, that's not what's happening in Israel. It is definitely ethnic cleansing and genocide. And they're, like you said, Anna, they are occupying and colonizing actively to this very, at this very moment, Israeli settlers are colonizing Palestinian settlements and homes and cities and communities. Again, the whole country was Palestine first. Israel formed from the Zionist movement, known to be Zionist, established to be Zionist, is Zionist, remains Zionist, was always Zionist. It's not the same thing as a state. I mean, Netanyahu would have just been kicked out in 2026 if not for October 7th. Zionism. Do you even know what Zionism is? Here. So, Zionism is an ethnocultural nationalist movement that emerged in the late 19th century Europe to establish and maintain a Jewish homeland through the colonization of Palestine, a region corresponding to the land of Israel and Judaism and central to Jewish history. Zionists wanted to create a Jewish state in Palestine with as much land, as many Jews, and as few Palestinian Arabs as possible. So, everything you just said, you want a two-state solution, you want a one national whatever thing, but you're a Zionist, but you don't agree with Israel, that's Zionism, is the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. That is, the Theodor Herzl was the founder of the modern Zionist movement. In his 1896 pamphlet, Der Judenstaat, he envisioned the founding of a future independent Jewish state during the 20th century. So, no, Zionism is a fascist, colonist ideology that literally in its mandate talks about ethnically cleansing Palestinians. And the guy who created it was a German who came up with the idea. So not even a Jew, a German. Maybe he was a German, I don't know. But he was German, and he said we need to ethnically cleanse Palestinians off of their land and give it to the Jewish state. So no. The first Zionists were Austro-Hungarian. Again, does not belong to the land of Palestine in the first place. Literally came from a binational state. They fought to keep the multicultural state intact. But as you just said, they aren't originally from Palestine. They have no cultural or historical ties to Palestine or the land of Israel. Herzl was unpopular in his day. You're reproducing Israel state mythology from 48. No, that was 1896, actually. And you're literally advocating, you're literally advocating for ethnic cleansing and justifying it. Yes. Do you not know that? Do I need to look up the definition of colonizer as well? Of colonist? Yeah, go ahead and ban this fucking clown. He's trying to justify colonization as anything other than what it is. What a fucking idiot. Wow. I mean, to be fair, as far as Nazi Zionists go, he was one of the more educated ones, but that's how they get you. Well, actually, in the beginning, there was blah, 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 and according to this and that, actually, you're wrong, because according to this history, I'm not debating the ethics of genocide and colonization from the mandate. I am not debating you on the merits on, well, this form of colonization is okay and this one is mean. No, America committed genocide against hundreds of Native American tribes, to include Mexico, and then renamed the Mexican Empire to Aztec because it was too confusing to compare ancient Mexico to modern day Mexico. So we are still engaging in genocide because in the 50s through the 70s, we were forcing Native women to get hysterectomies when they went to a fucking hospital for like gallstones or something. So we've been committing genocide against indigenous people since the 1600s. We are an ethnic settler state, the United States. The difference is, right? The difference, it's not a great difference, unfortunately. The difference is they're still here. They still have their land. We're just not recognizing their rights. And we've developed so much of the country that there's going to be difficulty relinquishing in that, which is why I said, as president, instead of that, we will establish statehood under the guidelines within the Constitution to the tribes that actually meet the qualifications, and then they can take their land back outright, guaranteed, and have a National Guard to fucking defend it. As well as 22 senators and 11 Congress people to always advocate on their own behalfs. So, like, we can't just dissolve the country, right? Because, again, this is one speck of dirt in the cosmos, even in our own solar system. We could be learning how to terraform planets and moons, and we could be colonizing empty swaths of barren dirt in our own solar system. The moon, Mars, Venus could probably be made habitable. Mercury, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But there's how many fucking moons on Jupiter? We could make any one of those habitable. And then it wouldn't even... Okay, America, we're going to now relocate to Mars. All this that was once America goes back to native lands. Then you can do that. And that could be the agreement to statehood. Once space colonization begins for the human race, the indigenous people will reclaim their ancestral lands in its entirety, in perpetuity. Done! Like, there are solutions to this problem. But denying that it is what it is ain't okay. Manifest Destiny was Zionism. The Holocaust was Zionism. And apparently Zionism happened first. Oh, 1896. Okay. So first Manifest Destiny walked so Zionism could run and the Holocaust could just sprint to the finish line. That's where we fucking are. Zionists are my least favorite type of Nazi. Man, honestly, between Zionists and MAGA, I'm not sure which Nazis I like the least. I mean, they're all equally... what's the word I was looking for? They're all equally... viable for scalps. They piss me off because they should know better. It's like a non-white white supremacist, which there's plenty of those in America right now. If you do not think Palestinians are human, then I get it. Which, in the context of, like, you're a Zionist because you don't believe Palestinians deserve to exist, which is literally in the mandate of Zionism, is as few Palestinian Arabs as possible, which means none, which means genocide. They just didn't have words for it back then. That's why they said as few as possible. If they had the word ethnically cleanse or genocide back then, they would have used it. Thank you, oh, geez. I started something here. Well, I didn't. Apolitical did. Some Russian came before 1919. There was a proto-Zionist project. Right, and that's when it really took steam, was World War I. But I agree with you. They both suck. Exactly. Bro was nuanced. You're just hating president. You're right. I am a hater. I absolutely am going to hate on Zionists, Nazis, and anybody who tries to pretend otherwise, that they aren't what they are. Yeah, very nuanced fascism. Again, that's what makes the good Nazis so dangerous, because they sound reasonable. Has nobody seen the fucking meme where I came into my normal crusty, shitty crust punk bar in the crust punk alley when some guy sat down as I was mulling my sorrows over in my pint, and the bartender reached under the bar thing and said, "Get the fuck out." And I was like, "Damn, barkeep, I've never seen you get mad before." He's like, "What was that all about?" I was like, "Oh, you didn't see him." But he had all of the Nazi shit on, and you can't trust them, because you let the reasonable one come in, then they bring a friend, and they bring another friend, and they're all reasonable until they're not, and then you realize it's a Nazi bar, and then you can't get rid of them. You got to get rid of them now, quick, when they're not a problem. That's exactly the point. You don't allow any Nazis, any fascists, any Zionists, any of them, any quarter. Not the AFD, not the MAGA, not Zion. Well, we already said not Zionism, but you get where I'm going with this, right? Like, none of them. You give them no quarter. Not a single fucking chance. You nip that right in the bud. Snip it right in the butt. You give them no mercy. The fact that I even debated that fucker was because I was trying to understand what he was trying to get at. Like, maybe he thought Zionism was something else that it wasn't. But no, this motherfucker thought, and with his whole chest, that Zionism was exactly what he was saying it was. And what it is. And no, I'm not going to tolerate that. Not on this channel. Not when I'm president. Not in my fucking America. You will get fucked. Especially when I'm president, because guess what? We're making hate crimes a crime again, baby. And that includes hateful, discriminatory rhetoric. You're in the KKK? You're a terrorist. Period. Dot. Here's the thing. It's actually on my policy to label all organized criminals as domestic terrorist or international terrorist groups. Why? Because they fucking are. Now, in the case of domestic gangs, like the Bloods, the Crips, at one point the Hells Angels, but whatever the equivalent is nowadays, right? All of those local gangs, especially the Blood and especially the Crips, are a result of a failure of government to support those communities where those gangs thrive. Because you don't join a gang if you're getting a 6-figure 9-to-5 job at a bank or as a software engineer. You join a gang because your dad, your brother, your mom, your cousin, your auntie are all in prison for selling drugs, prostitution, or whatever else, because they couldn't get a job, because they couldn't get to school, because they couldn't afford it, because they're black, because their neighborhood, because of, right? There's just a laundry list of shit. A laundry list of shit that piles up in these poor black communities where they will still band together in order to survive. Unfortunately, what that looks like in modern capitalist society is criminal activity. Okay, I guess we're going to steal. I guess we're going to murder. I guess we're going to prostitute. I guess we're going to sell drugs. Well, guess what? Selling drugs, logistics. Murder, defense. Prostitution, customer care. Okay? Like, theft. Again, I would still call that logistics. All of these jobs within a gang, from I don't know all the terms, I guess. I was going to say bouncer, but that doesn't seem right. So, bruiser, I don't think that's the proper term anymore either, but like the muscle, right? From everything from the muscle to the bookkeeper to the prostitutes, from the corner drug dealer person, there are jobs that translates into in the real economy. So just because I labeled them domestic terrorists doesn't mean I'm just going to go in and massacre them, right? I'm not. Obviously, they are, the Trump administration. But by labeling them as such and giving them the opportunity to denounce their ties and reintegrating into society, you actually do the thing that needs to be done, which is eliminate the material conditions that produces criminal activity in the first place by providing access and support to achieve and maintain the material conditions that prevent criminal activity from emerging in the first place. Universal healthcare, education, jobs guarantee, job training, infrastructure, trains, and childcare services. Access to childcare services. You do those few things, and you will guarantee a thriving society forever. Specifically the trains, but I guess the healthcare and childcare helps. And the job access, I guess, but still. Trains and high-speed internet. That's how you prevent gang activity, right? So, again, all of that to say, if you're a member of a hate group, or the Proud Boys, or any of that shit, you declare yourself a Zionist, you're going to prison for insurrection, for domestic terrorism. Fuck you. Fuck you. Now, am I going to put you in general pop with actual criminals? No. You're an ideological criminal because you have been brainwashed into believing that shit. So you're going to go to the communist re-education camps where you're going to learn about socialism and woke. And maybe after 4 months of not being in front of ChatGPT and Ben fucking Shapiro and Charlie Kirk, maybe your brain will start to heal and you can actually discern real information from propaganda and misinformation and blatant discriminatory rhetoric. And if not, you'll just stay in prison. Or if you're smart enough to pretend and then you end up back, well, guess what? Then there's no take backsies or second chances, motherfucker. KK wannabe noob Nazis. Yeah. All small problems can be traced back to bigger society problems. Exactly. Put our communities to work. No, give our communities, what's the word I wanted to look for? Dignified work. That's all we need is providing dignified work to our communities. I blame capitalism for having no chips right now. Same. And they fought me on stream too. It's terrible. Working class revolution. We are the revolution. In communism, everyone has chips. Well, I wouldn't say everyone because I'm out of chips right now and I'm part of the everyone. Join the Ronan train. That could be a slogan. Yeah, just add it to the list of slogans. You can never have too many slogans. You'd be horrified if I told you what I'd do with trains in GTA. You say psych right fucking now. Because I know what you can do in GTA 5. I grew up in the 90s and in the early thousands. I know what you can do in GTA. You say psych right fucking now. Free all the bunnies. Exactly. So, one long tirade later. Oh yeah, we didn't actually
new details about an
watch this
ambush
video.
attack on officers at an immigration detention facility
I'll take a
in
time
North
out
Texas.
over the truth.
A police officer was shot in the neck outside the detention center in Alvarado Friday. Fox 4's Amelia Jones in studio with the latest tonight. Amelia.
Clarice, the Alvarado police officer who was shot is expected to recover. The Department of Justice says this marks the 5th assault on law enforcement officers in the northern.
I'm going to need you to ban apolitical Anna for RPGing the trains.
Texas district this year. Nearly a dozen people are now facing multiple federal charges.
Make no mistake, this was not a so-called peaceful protest. It was indeed an ambush.
Monday, the Department of Justice shared new details.
But did anybody die?
On a shooting at the Prairie Land Detention Center in Alvarado, south
Okay,
of
so
Fort
look at that detention center. Okay. It looks like there's a rec field, which if that's a standard football field size, that's 100 yards. So maybe the whole, like the main building facility is about 100 yards across and then maybe 4 or 5 football fields long. So that's 100 by 500 yards, which would be 5,000 square yards. That's not a small facility. Okay. And you can see in the parking lot right there, we can count it out, but it looks like there's a couple dozen cars there, right? So that would be the employees, plus the perimeter runs. And then the outbuildings, where there's presumably more ICE agents. Excuse me. Chances are there's just as many personnel in some of these other outbuildings. So call it 50. Let's just round up to 50 in this facility alone. In the top right-hand corner, probably another 50 personnel. And then in that top middle right there, which is behind the title, I'd say another 50. So that's 150 personnel. And then in the various in-between buildings, maybe another 50. So that's 200 personnel. Not all of them are going to be armed. Not all of them are going to... They might not even be allowed to have live ammunition at those facilities. But you have to figure at least 150 of the 200 are likely to be armed in some capacity with either pepper spray or taser. God, geez, sorry. Got the hiccups now. So 11 people were never, ever going to infiltrate this entire facility. That was never going to happen. Come on. So, again, son of a bitch. Again, it would take thousands of people to storm this entire complex for it to be effective. 11 would never be enough. Paul wanted to join the stream, but Twitch is giving him crap. He wants me to say hi. Well, hello. A cop died here in Wisconsin, and I simply don't have it in me to care after being arrested to the ground by cops just for wanting to tell my former school I don't want my fees going to kill kids. And at our Labor Fest, they had snipers at us just because we wanted to hold up a sign to the Tim Walls. Yeah, fuck cops. I mean, honestly, they are very not any different than ICE, especially when they coordinate with them on the regular. What is the game plan? Well, there is no game plan unless there are 3,000 active and armed individuals ready to storm that place. And then you don't really need a plan because there's 3,000 of you that are armed. That's the plan. You and 3,000 friends buy guns and storm every single Nazi concentration camp in America. That's the plan. That would be exercising your Second Amendment rights as written.
Officials say around 10:30 p.m. on July 4th, a group of 10 to 12 people dressed in black military-style clothing shot off fireworks and vandalized the facility.
They engaged in the graffiti. They damaged vehicles.
They engaged in graffiti. Oh, they damaged vehicles.
Guard structure. The graffiti had such words as...
So wait a second. This isn't an ambush then. I thought 11 armed people went to this detention center and took shots. You're telling me 11 activists slashed a few tires and graffitied the place before they were caught? Come on.
As traitor, ice pig, other profanity.
Officials say this was a ruse to draw out the ICE personnel, and it worked. 2 unarmed corrections officers went to speak with the...
Yeah, remember how I said 50? That's probably a low guesstimate.
Vandals. Meanwhile, the group signaled a gunman nearby. Alvarado police responded to a 911 call at the facility. When the officer got there, he was shot in the neck, and another assailant fired 20 to 30 rounds at the unarmed corrections officers. When the suspects fled the scene, the Johnson County Sheriff's Office stopped a vehicle leaving the detention center.
There was a single driver in that vehicle.
Somebody took their mom's minivan and their dad's rifle, fired 30 shots at corrections officer who I imagine were clumped together addressing the graffiti and missed. This is exactly why I'm saying, like, if you're going to exercise your Second Amendment right, if you're going to do that, 1, don't announce it. 2, don't declare it. Do not write a manifest. fucking hiccups. But if you are going to exercise your Second Amendment rights, maybe spend the extra $200 or $300 and go to a range for a few weekends and make sure you can hit your fucking target. Otherwise, you're going to get arrested for attempted murder and vandalism and look like an idiot. So Anna, you wouldn't need to get him a gun. He could probably just come to the country, and depending where in the state, like if he's at a gun show, he could just buy one. If he went to Texas first, they wouldn't even ID him at a Walmart for buying a gun. Yeah, see, now I'm cooked, because now we're talking about actual violence against the state. But I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, I'm not telling you to do it unless you have 3,000 friends, right? So those are things that are just not going to happen, right? So I can't advocate for violence if there's no realistic way that that's going to be carried out. But I am saying, if you're going to commit the acts of violence and you don't have the capacity to inflict violence, then you are setting yourself up to be a victim. Okay? One of my favorite adages that I'm seeing so far is a peaceful person is capable of great violence. A peaceful person is capable of great violence. If you are not capable of great violence, you are not peaceful. You are passive. You are, now I don't remember the whole quote. You are, it's effectively a victim. Like, because if you don't even have the capability of committing violence, then you're not being peaceful. You're not doing anything. You're just incapable of doing anything. You are a victim. You are a victim waiting to happen. Ugh. I am white. Does that get me anything? No, you probably don't need ID anymore. In Ohio? No, I still had to show an ID in Ohio, but I think Pennsylvania, maybe? Indiana? I know for a fact the South, you barely need a pulse in order to buy a gun, so. And if you're white, shit, we just don't want none of them brown people to get guns. So.
The sheriff deputy saw in plain sight a firearm. Another firearm was in the back seat, and there were 2 Kevlar ballistic style vests also in that vehicle.
According to court documents, this driver told the sheriff.
All right. So these guys and 2 girls, 3 girls. Is Maricela a girl name or a boy name? And for that matter, Enos. Is Enos a boy or a girl name? And maybe it's 50-50. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like 10 instead of 11. Anyway, both girls. So these 10 Americans are heroes for what they did. They saw that their country was engaging in a tyrannical activity, that they were illegally detaining people by violating their due process, and they took matters into their own hands to try and liberate the victims of this administration, which is extremely admirable. So I would like to commemorate their names and give them a special shout out. Cameron Arnold, Savannah Batten, Nathan Bauman, Zachary Evitz, Joy Gibson, Bradford Morris, Maricela Rueda, Seth Sykes, Elizabeth Soto, and Ines Soto, which must be siblings or something along those lines. In power. You're going to prison for attempted murder against a federal agent and possibly going to get charged with terror in some way, form, or fashion. Like, you're going to prison for a very long time. But the chances is that they might be federal charges, in which case well, even so, after the revolution, you will be pardoned by me. And you will be honored for your courage, if not necessarily your ability. But I'm gonna say that they took activism to heart. I think they took the Second Amendment to heart. They took freedom and justice for all to heart, and that is worthy of respect. That is worthy of respect, and I think I should make a video about them. So Anna, could you remind me to make a video about these folks? And maybe even add that link to it, so I have the list right there. The point being, though, like, they're going to prison. Like, and they failed in their mandate. They failed because they were not prepared, because they are not trained, because they were never going to succeed. We need a revolution in this country. I think we could do it through a general strike. I think that's the way we should do it. Because then we're revolting against not just our shitty Nazi government, but we're also revolting against capitalism, which is why we have our shitty Nazi government. Okay? So a general strike, I think, would have the greatest impact against the powers that be in our country. I don't think it even has to be violent. I don't think a violent revolution would be functional, because I don't think enough of us would be willing, or, as we are seeing, able to carry out a violent revolution. That's all I can really say on that. But I think a general strike is in our future, and I do intend to help facilitate that in some way, form, or fashion. So because I have the hiccups, and because it is apparently being relentless, and we're almost at the end of the stream anyway, I think I'll use this time to sign off. General strike whenever. Ronan 2029, maybe I'll find a way to make it to a comedy club and declare my congressional candidacy. Who knows? Who fucking knows? But tomorrow is going to be foreign policy Wednesdays, where we find out what the fuck is going on in the rest of the world. So I hope to see you there tomorrow, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. Stay safe. Don't do any crimes. No violence, no crimes. And have a great night. And hopefully tomorrow I am not plagued with the hiccups at the 11th hour. Oh, and Terratron, shout out.